It's the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship 2021, and it's Super League Day on the Red Bull Ring here in Austria. Oh boy, have we got a fantastic show for you once again. Jake Sanson and Tom Parker overlooking things on the commentary side, and up in the broadcast suite, it's Argo Teder. We're going to have a fabulous day at the races once again, with an awful lot going on behind the scenes and on track. Tom, it's a beautiful day to go racing.
It is, and I'm very, very glad I'm back. Obviously, having missed Baku due to other commitments, I'm glad to be back in the commentary. Not driving as I was on Tuesday, that was a nightmare. Yeah, it's nice to be back in the booth. We've got dry weather, unlike the rain we saw in Super League Lights on Tuesday. So, yeah, a nice normal race for us today.
So, as you were driving on Tuesday, obviously, in Super League Lights, Tom, you can give us a bit of an insight, I guess, as to what the car is going to be like for the drivers to handle around this place. I mean, obviously, you were in the wet, these guys are in the dry, but there are some interesting keynotes that you might be able to pass on to the drivers today.
Yeah, be careful. That's about it. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's Super League Lights. It was wet, then dry, then wet again. So, it is hard. Like I said, it is quite difficult to make a comparison, but... yeah, I mean, so turn one's obviously a very, very important corner on this track, mainly because if you get it wrong, one, you can spin off into the barrier, two, you get a cut track, and obviously we know that that's obviously monitored by the game itself these days. So he's got to be very, very careful, especially in qualifying. Obviously, if you go out wide in turn one, you will invalidate your lap.
With this...
So, yeah, it's just very, very important just to keep it clean, really.
I guess with this being a shorter layout than a lot of the circuits that we go to as well at the Red Bull Ring, you've got more opportunities to go for a qualifying lap here. And obviously, as we head into qualifying, as many people will, of course, be used to by now in 2021, Super League is very much the drivers go out on their own racetrack and it runs simultaneously. So they don't have to worry about the tow. They don't have to worry about meeting traffic. But this is a circuit that really does lend itself to tripping over the ragged edge a little bit.
Yeah, if you make a mistake here, it's usually a big one. Not in terms of like the wall necessarily, but yeah, you will lose a lot of time. Like I said, turn one, turn two, turn three, all very tight corners, 90 degrees, all hairpins pretty much. And it's just you need to take so much momentum through and out of the corner. So like the mantra of slow in, fast out is very much key in a track like this. And yeah, some people really do struggle with it. I've been quite lucky in the races I've done in the career out of this for here that I've gone quite well, but. Yeah, it's a flowy track, and if you get to a good flow, it's one of the best tracks to race on. I really do like enjoying racing it. I know a lot of other people do too. But yeah, we'll have to see if anyone can nail the perfect lap around here.
Well, the perfect lap is very hard to find around the Red Bull Ring because it's such a short circuit compared to some of the others on the calendar, but you're definitely going to get a lot of drivers pushing very hard in order to make it happen. We're on board with Jernit Simoncic, who is one of the many drivers who is trying to make hay while the sun shines. Of course, we're still left with the fallout of the absence of Adam Maguire and Liam Duval at Adonis, and there's a brand new lineup for them for this evening, and it's a very interesting driver lineup they've gone for.
Yeah, so Aris Mashuli has, as far as I know, made the full-time return to Adonis. Obviously, having been there last year at the start, being replaced by Liam midway through the season, and now they've gone back. So I believe Liam has now gone for good. But yeah, Aris Mashuli back in the car full-time for Adonis. Obviously, having nearly won the title with them back in 2016, so he knows the team very well. And Kintai is back in the car as well, having done a couple of races earlier this season for him. Back in the car to see if he can improve on the performances he had this season. I don't know if that's a permanent switch. I believe there will be another driver in for him from next race. But yeah, Mashuli and Kintai going to be interesting.
And of course, it's not the only team that's had a major shake-up, because Liam Duval being the team boss of Cenobite, with him now disappearing, it essentially becomes an open playing house, that particular team. And there are two drivers who are going to be taking the wheel this evening. And that's obviously going to be an interesting move forward for them. Tobias Olsen will be in one of the cars. And in the other, of course, a little bit further back, it's going to be Pascal Schmidt, who'll be in that car. Again, this could be a race-by-race change, but there are a few changes coming into this weekend.
Yeah, in terms of drivers, yeah, obviously those two will be good. I know they had I think they had a pretty tough race in Super League Lights on Tuesday, just like a lot of other drivers. So I think they're here to prove themselves that actually, yeah, we can do the job. Olsen's been around for years. I've raced with him before as well, so he knows his stuff. And Schmidt, I don't know too much about Schmidt, but obviously he's got the pace to be in Super League Lights, the opportunity to go very wide and squiggly out of the final corner there in the go speed to go 16th. But Yeah, so quite a few drive changes. Obviously, we've got the car upgrades as well, which we'll get into in the warm-up session. But yeah, Simoncic really pushing quite hard, going through the final corner, riding that little Tony Hawk skateboard bit on the exit of the final corner, and puts himself into 4th place as it stands. Very, very close times here. Obviously, like I said, a very short circuit. So we've got 1 minute 4, 64-second lap times. It's mental, really. And yeah, the top, oh, I can't even scroll down. The top 13 separated by half a second at the moment. So still plenty of time for people to get involved. 11.5 minutes left to go. But oh, Simčić must be on a lap, in lap there, very, very wide. But yeah, 11.5 minutes to go until we see who can take pole position, which is currently occupied by Leon Bock of Evolution Motorsports.
There is one mission tonight for every driver out there on the starting grid, and that is do not let Yannick Bock break into a bit of a streak, because at the moment he has got 3 wins out of 5. He won in India, he won in Azerbaijan 2 weeks ago, and here we are at the Red Bull Ring. It's important for everybody to get under his skin and try and break that deadlock. Of course, it was a Bock Brothers 1-2 last time, just added insult to injury for the rest of the field. Ironically, Adam Maguire is still technically second in the Drivers' Championship after his hat-trick of second places mid-season. But there's still a very intense chase behind. You've got Gobby on 56, you've got Rualt on 55, Leon Bock is on 50, Colin Spork on 47, and David Feiduk, incredibly, on 43. So there's still plenty of drivers with a good chance to make something of this season. And let's not forget, you've got the likes of Ragusa and Simoncic. Simoncic was really robbed in Baku last time out. Let's not forget, he could have been a race winner. He was pushing Yannick all the way. So there's a lot of interesting factors coming into this one.
Yeah, Yerny seems to have finally got the bit between his teeth, hasn't he? He seems to have finally started to put, I wouldn't say effort, but he started to focus a little bit more on the Superleague as opposed to maybe some other series he runs in. And yeah, from obviously, like I said, I wasn't here for Baku, but I heard he was very, very, very quick. Like I said, it was only brake failure really that cost him a chance of winning that race. And yeah, he seems to be really on it. He was on it in the practice session. He was fastest in practice. He's currently 6th for the moment, but like I said, loads of time left to get another lap in. But yeah, Yannick, I mean, he's got a 28-point gap as over a race victory already. Gobi, who's actually sort of petered off from his early start of the season. He was leading at one point, wasn't he, a championship? And Yannick on a roll is a very, very scary thing to see, having seen it firsthand when I was his teammate when he won the championship. So fingers crossed someone can try and give him a good fight.
Well, Leon Bock is currently the fastest man ahead of Lauren Kiersmakers, who's come out of the blocks with a very decent lap time. Now Jeff Fournier creeps up into that second place spot on the Scuderia Basilia. Fabrizio Gobbi now displacing him second place, and we're going to see some really close lap times from the front to the back. 28 cars on the grid, of course, but it's going to be so tight from the front to the back, especially on a layout as short as this one. 1 minute 4:02 is currently the benchmark set by Leon Bock. Here's Maciej Mlinek, who's finally setting his first major flyer. Purple in the first split, according to the graphic. Personal best in the second. This is going to be a quick time indeed, and he goes up to 5th. So not a bad run at all from Maciej Mlinek, and that puts him 5th. Right, Kilk has now put his way up into 3rd place. Here's Jonic Simoncic, and he's purple in Sector 1.
Simoncic, he's going to be pretty keen, isn't he, to avenge the Baku brake failure, and we don't need any introduction to Mr. Simoncic, do we? Very, very quick driver, arguably one of the best in open wheelers on R-Factor 2 coming into these final 2 corners. Very, very easy to make a mistake there, hitting the apex too early on the second to last corner, and then the final corner itself, there's a little dip in the middle of the apex, but he gets it nice, and he proves it with 2nd place, just behind Leon Bock, just under a 10th behind Leon. But yeah, look how close that is. The top 7 separate by 0.2 of a second. Very, very close so far.
Now, this is going to be an important opening banker lap for Alessandro Quintai. Running very wide. Goodness me, nearly threw it into the barriers on the final turn. His lap is good enough for 10th, but I'm not sure that's going to stand, because obviously he will have run wide on the exit of the corner. He may well have that time deleted. Here's Dan Stupkowski, powered by RSR, and obviously trying to make his impression on things. Only a couple of drivers not getting the lap time in yet. In fact, Stupkowski actually decides to bail out of this particular lap. Matthias Muss is the last of the big names to not set a lap yet, but he's still got plenty of time. And of course, with 7 minutes on the clock, he is out there. Here he is, Matthias Muss. So he's out there trying to get the lap time in. But with 1 minute 4.4 being the benchmark, there is so much opportunity for drivers who are down in maybe 14th, 15th, 16th. If they get a decent sector time, they could shoot up 10 places.
Yeah, so I was going to say with Mlinek earlier, 6th place he is at the moment. If he gained half a 10th, he'd go into 3rd place. So like I said, it's fine margins here. And this is a track where maybe just braking 5 meters later will gain you that 10th that maybe you need to get into those places. So it's just who's got the biggest balls, really, who can who can brake latest and carry that speed through the corner and just make sure you get a good exit. Like I said, you want to be focusing on the exits of these corners, obviously with the long straights to use the most of your engine and try and get the best time possible. Oh, there goes Pascal. And that corner there, very, very tricky. Very easy to do that there. Very, very easy to do that there.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation for the competitors. Wopos pointing out it stands, otherwise the lap wouldn't have counted in the first place. It's automatic track limits now. Thank you for reminding me of that, Wopos. So obviously it's going to be, I'm still getting used to being back in the GPVWC swing of things, of course, so you'll have to bear with me as I continue to adapt to the changes in 2021. Here's Giuseppe Ragusa. He is absolutely flying on the first sector. The Italian looking good. Drifts a little bit wide off to the curb. So that could be an interesting development, but you can see he really is pushing it hard, trying to get the last little ounce of speed out of the GSR VBM. And he goes through these final two apexes. He's bailed out. You see, I think he realised there he ran wide and he knew that was going to be a tricky lap. Matthias Mus going quickly across the first two sectors thus far. But Giuseppe Ragusa definitely a threat for a later crack at pole position. A 16.528, the fastest first sector we have seen in qualifying. And with 5 minutes 25, he's still got plenty of opportunities to set a quick lap. This is a really clean end to the lap for Matthias Mus. I think this is going to be a very quick one. 17th place, but that is still a quick lap. I should point out that's 0.4 of a second away from pole. That's how close it is in Super League.
Every single driver bar the bottom three are in the 104s. So 6 separating first to 25th is not a bad effort at all, really. Still like a plenty of time. Jonas Simčić on a lap again. Look at that. Purple in the first sector. Up in the second. Can he get into pole? As Jeffrey Fournier actually pops up into second place there.
Really good to see Fournier getting back into it. Here's Simčić. Now, this is going to be a very neat exit. He needs it to be to get a decent lap. That's perfect from Simčić. He absolutely nails the line on the exit, and it's pole position. Look at that, a 1 minute 4.344. Immediately displaced by Jonas Simčić on a 104.284. Excellent. Box time is finally beaten. And Alessandro Quintai going...
But okay, so it looks like we may have lost Jake, unfortunately. As I'll do my best to keep the show running. As Quintai actually goes up into third place for a donor, so a great lap there from Quintai.
Back again.
Obviously,
back again. I do apologise, folks. Back again. Unfortunately, the internet isn't going to be on our side all night long. We'll do our best to make sure it's there or thereabouts. Jonas Simčić, Bok, Quintai, Fournier, and Zappala is the top five at the moment. We're watching Right Kilk. He's looking very stable, I have to say, across the lap, but you can tell he's really ragging the Red Archer to within an inch of its life there, Tom. He really is pushing it.
Yeah, Right Kilk always one of the ones, a bit of a nearly man, isn't he, really? He's got usually quite a smooth driving style, but we'll see where this lap puts him as he goes into fifth place, 104.402, just over a 10th off pole position. But good enough for fifth place. Splitting the Scuderia Brasilia is actually having a very good run here today as well. So good on Right Kilk, always in that fifth, sixth place areas. We're now on board with Fabrizio Gorbi, early championship leader, obviously now slipped down to third place in the standings as we stand. But yeah, coming around this long double left-hander, this very, very tricky corner, this one as well. You can take a lot of speed into this second left, but you've got to try and make sure you don't go a little bit too wide on the exit, because then you'll run over that exit curb, which sort of leads into the right, leads into this double right here. This, like I said, second right, I think Jonas Simčić proved perfectly how much time you can lose there by making it wrong. Oh, Gorby got a little bit sideways there on the exit of the final corner, but still improves on his time, but only up into sixth place.
Is it worth pointing out, with 2 minutes 15 to go, Yannick Bock is conspicuous by his absence. He is down in 12th position on the starting grid. Now, this is absolutely heaven sent for the rest of the opposition because they will love to have seen Yannick Bock be way down there. So Yannick has got 2 minutes to try and salvage a top 5 starting position, and that is not going to be easy as Matthias Mus launches the... Oh, a little bit too tight on the way through the curb on the exit there. Is that going to be a legal lap? It is. So there you go. Matthias Mus, no problem at all. It was absolute borderline, but he gets there. 10th position across the line as Tobias Olsson puts the Cenobite in 15th position. Good to see that those cars are out there, despite their rather hectic start to the season, shall we say. But where is Yannick Bock? We need to pick him up. He's in 13th at the moment. Eros Mashuli in the other of the Adonis cars. Good to see him back at his old berth and running a solid lap this time. Green sectors in both the first and second splits. So Eros Mashuli definitely... Eros Mashuli across the line. Is this going to be a good lap from him? 16th. It's an improvement, but it's not a dramatic one. It's Yannick Bock that needs to shoot his way up the timesheets.
Yeah, Yannick is on his out lap now. So obviously he's left it late to go out for his final lap. Obviously, like I said, he's under pressure. He's only, to think it's mad, we say he's down in 13th, but he's only 3 tenths off pole. So it really is that close here today as Leon now gets within just over half a tenth off Simoncic's pole. Time of 1:04.284, but what can Leon do? I think Leon is on a lap, or it looks like he's on a lap. So let's see if he can improve as he goes over the line. Oh no, he must be on a. This must be a warm-up lap, as it were. As he now starts his final lap, as we have 30 seconds to go with this session.
So Yannick Bock is going to push the absolute limit of the evolution. He wants to get higher than 13th on the grid, the championship leader with a decent advantage in the championship, of course, as well. He will not want to lose too much ground, even from the start of this race. He's still got a long way to go in the 2021 Super League season. There's a lot that still needs to play out. But he is going to have an interesting season if things keep going the way they are. 14th on the grid is where he's currently sat, because there have been improvements. Giuseppe Ragusa going 10th fastest. Janic Simoncic improves his lap to a 1:04.216 right at the death there. So Simoncic improves to a 1:04.215. Very impressive indeed there. Yannick Bock still pushing, trying to maximise the limit of what the car can do. We've got Fournier, Kilk, Stefan Rualt and Maciej Mlinek on good laps as well. Mlinek may be about to move back into the top 10. He's currently in 13th in front of Yannick Bock. Can Maciej Mlinek shoot his way up the order? We come through to see if there is a final change, but Yannick Bock is doing his best to make a big impression out of the final turn. This is not a bad lap. Is it going to be top 10? No, it is not. My goodness. Yannick Bock is not able to break into the top 10. That is big drama as Stefan Rualt gets up into 7th position at the end of the session. Jeff Fournier tries to maximise the last of the car and ends up 4th position. But that is a big shock. Yannick Bock, championship leader, 14th at best.
He's absolutely fuming as well. He went over the line. He actually did improve his time by the smallest of margins. He made a 1/100th improvement, but obviously didn't move him up the grid. And yeah, as soon as he crossed the line, his wheel turning it very, very, very vigorously. So very upset as Yannick. He knows that that's going to be an opportunity missed with Yerne well ahead, actually, if you look at the grid, really. Nearly 1.5 tenths clear of Leon Bock. So great lap there from Yerne. Obviously legal, as Wopke said. Obviously the time is up, so therefore it stands. And yeah, 0.129 ahead of the rest of the grid. That's a very, very fine time from Mr. Simoncic there.
Certainly is. Let's talk you through the standings after qualifying. Janic Simoncic and Leon Bock at the front from Alessandro Quintai and Jeff Fournier. Right, Kilkin P5 in front of Jamal and GSR Sim Racing. They both get their cars into the top 10. Matthias Mus recovers to 11th position. A good run for him in front of Maciej Mlinek. Robin Panzar 13th. Championship leader Yannick Bock 14th on the grid. Ahead of another disappointed ace, Colin Spork, 15th on the grid for him. David Fidek in P16 from Tobias Olsson and Eros Mashuli back in the Adonis. Giuseppe Leinau in 19th place in front of Dan Stepkowski. Then it is Florian Gaia in 21st position on the grid ahead of Thomas Vach. Michael Francesconi is 23rd ahead of Mirko Lucchini. And then Federico Russo, Adriano Opacini, Christian Pascal, and Pascal Schmidt in his first race for the Cenobite team this season, down in 28th. A very fascinating grid, but the big shock, Yannick Bock down in 14th place at the Red Bull Ring. That is right in the middle of the danger
instance
heading
could very
into.
well occur.
Apologies there. I think Discord is trying to throw us off again, as it usually does. Well, it's certainly having a particularly rough night this evening. I do apologise if it affects your enjoyment of the stream, but we are doing our best. Jake Sanson and Tom Parker with you, with broadcast director Argo Teder. We're into the warm-up session now, and this is the bit we need to get into because it's round 6, and this is the first round of the 2021 championship to involve car development upgrades. This is a big talking point in Super League 2021. It's as intense as it can possibly be, and this is a very, very important aspect in the 2021 GPVWC Super League because this is where the teams can really make a big impression on the season. This is how things look after the first upgrade window. What can you tell us, Tom, about what teams have decided to do?
Yeah, so obviously car developments, first time, like I said, first race this season, we've finally got them in. Obviously, usually a lot earlier, but we've had a few little niggles we've had to iron out, and thankfully they are now done, so we can start and get some upgrades. So obviously, as you can see, we have the key at the bottom, so you can see which upgrade corresponds to which colour. And as you can see, we'll take Donuts for an example, 32 and 32, so 32 dark green. They've gone for 32% component mass and 32% chassis mass, so he's obviously gone for a lighter car. As opposed to, for example, Evolution, they've gone for body drag, and a lot of teams have actually decided that body drag is a good way to go, so they must have decided that the positives outweigh the negatives on that one. A few cars as well have gone for rear wing downforce. The majority of the cars as well have gone for component mass. Obviously, as you can see, Cenobite have not decided to do any upgrades as of yet. So who knows if they will upgrade that car throughout the season. Obviously, Liam choosing to step away from the team at this time. So let's see if they do anything as it goes. But like I said, the cars are looking good. We've got different. And what's good about this, obviously, this year we've changed the R&D so that as well as the positive effects of a upgrade, you do get some slight negative effects as well. Just trying to balance that, so it stops the same upgrades being used year on year that we saw for 2 or 3 years straight. So it gives a bit of an element more of a, you've got to think about what you want to sacrifice in order to get a better car. And it's worked. I mean, you can see there's not many teams that have actually done the same thing. Red Archer and Brasilia have done exactly the same thing, and that's pretty much it, I think. So, oh yeah, Edge and HRT are working together in some aspects as well. So, it's good that we've got some differences, and I'm really looking forward to see which car works best at which track as well.
So, certainly here at the Red Bull Ring, it's quite critical that the engine development is going in the right direction for the right teams at the right time. So let's have an overview, Tom, and have a look at what each of the engine developers, of the 4 of them, have decided to go with in terms of their major progression in round 6 of the championship.
Yep, so we are the 4 engine suppliers: Reventon, Kazar, Minotaur, and Valiant. Minotaur obviously being the new boys on the block, and Red Archer. And Kazar and Minotaur have both decided to go for engine boost. So 26% development on engine boost as far this season. So that's those two have gone for that way. Reventon have gone for engine mass. So they've obviously gone the light route. Obviously, Adonis, as we saw before, have gone for a very light car. So they're obviously aiming to make the car as light as possible to gain a bit more time that way. And Valiant have always, as they always do, the Mike Pittman special, going for engine power. So going down the long straight, for example, if we think maybe Spa or Monza, for example, their car would be amazing as it comes around there. We do obviously have engine cooling and fuel consumption as other upgrades that the teams can do, but have decided not to do it as far. But obviously, this is led by 4 teams rather than the 14 we have in the league. So obviously, Adonis, Edge, Red Archer, and GSR VBM are the only teams that can actually gain points for the R&D for the engine development. And obviously, if you put it to these factors thus far, and obviously from the next race, we'll see different upgrades with different teams. And different engines will have different upgrades, and it's going to be really exciting to see who goes where with the development. Really, it's really exciting to see a difference this year to it, and it's going to be exciting to see who can make the most of it.
Indeed. Now, looking at the progression for Valiant and Reventon as we go back to the warm-up session, we look obviously at the teams out there on the circuit, and we can see that GSR, VBM, and Adonis have definitely turned a bit of a developmental corner since making those engine developments with Reventon and Valiant, respectfully. How big a difference is that going to make to the way that result plays out here at the Red Bull Ring, with Quasar and Minotaur for Edge and Red Archer going towards the engine boost to gain more power? Is the slightly intellectual approach from Reventon for engine mass actually going to give Adonis a great chance of points here today?
Yeah, I mean, it's Adonis, isn't it? They're always going to have a great car really underneath them. But yeah, and having a lighter car and a more powerful car for these two is definitely going to help quite a lot. I think in the terms of the straight line speed. Obviously, you want a good straight line speed to get into a good opportunity to overtake, and we'll have to see if it works today. As I believe we're going to go to a quick break just before the race starts. So I'll let you lead us into that break.
Thank you very much. There are a couple of more points we'll talk about just before we get started racing, but don't go away because the Red Bull Ring round 6 of the Super League 2021 from the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship isn't far away. It's a busy year in GPVWC 2021. 5 races in. We've already had Albert Park, we've had Sakhir, we've had Shanghai, we've had the Bud circuit in New Delhi, and we've had the Baku Street circuit. Here we are in Spielberg on the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and then we'll have Canada and Great Britain before we get to the halfway stage in the 2021 season. Then comes some classic race venues: Hockenheim, Magny-Cours, Spa-Francorchamps, and Monza, before we get to Marina Bay in Singapore, Suzuka in Japan, Austin, the Circuit of the Americas in the United States in Texas, and then, of course, Sao Paulo in Brazil. It's going to be a very busy year in GPVWC Super League. It's already getting pretty hectic out there. Yannick Bock with a decent lead in the points tally, and the hope for all the other drivers that they can reel him in. But starting 14th on the grid here is definitely going to give the rest of the field a chance to close up. Now, here's an interesting question before we get into the meat and bones of tonight's race, Tom. Looking at the car developments and the engine developments coming into this one, how many teams do you think have made their decisions based on a reactionary maneuver from their form at the start of the season? And how many teams do you think might be playing the long game with some of the circuits we've got coming up?
Very good question. Very good question. Speaking of, in terms of like from my experiences of doing it, we've always, so I'm thinking back to when I was at CSG in the Midnight Days, obviously very successful team in teams, both teams obviously both winning championships back in the mid 2010s. Dave Clark-Smith, who was obviously the manager of CSG Racing, would always plan out his season straight from the beginning. And he would plan out, right, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this then, because you've got this amount of R&D points. And honestly, it's mind-boggling. The amount of Excel sheets I saw between 2014 and 2016 are amazing. But yeah, but it worked. And it's why they were the best team at the time. And a lot of teams cottoned on. So I know Vodball, but then the next dynasty, as you would call it, they had a really good run of success. Along with Adonis as well around that time as well. So a lot of these teams, the more experienced ones like Adonis, your Evolutions, will probably have planned out this from the start and probably may not have deviated. And then maybe some, such as maybe RSR or Scuderia Brazil, may have reacted to their start of the season, like you said. But what's different this year is obviously, like I've said, now you've got a negative effect. The teams have basically had to start from a blank slate this year. So they've had to do a lot more testing, a lot more research into what actually is the quickest way to go. And I think you will see as the season progresses, the better teams who have done their work on the research, who have done the laps in the R&D, will actually, you'll see them come to the fore. And potentially really start to take a steal, because we don't know where this is going to go this year. Obviously, last year you knew certain upgrade was quickest, then you do this upgrade after, bang, done. Because there's so many different ways, we genuinely don't know what's going to be the quickest. I mean, the teams probably know. You and me haven't got a clue. And that's what makes it exciting. We don't know. For all we know, we might end up having Edge Esports, for example, having a car that's 1 second faster than the Earth. We just don't know because we don't know what upgrades are going to go. But like I said, they'll have done their research. They'll know what they're doing. But it's nice to see a bit of variation this year. And yeah, I'm excited to see it. And obviously now we're going to see a little preview of it. Maybe I think it's a little bit too early in the development stage to get it to see a real effect. But yeah, I'm excited nonetheless. And 71 laps here is going to be also a lot of fun with a grid separated by 1 second, less than 1 second in qualifying. Is going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. And of course, with Yannick Bock in 14th out of the 28 on the grid, he is literally in the center of controversy. Halfway through the field, if anything kicks off into that first corner, and let's be honest, it has been known to happen in the past here at the Red Bull Ring, anything could happen. And Yannick Bock is in the worst possible position, right in the firing line of all the melee if it does kick off at turn 1. And of course at turn 2, let's not forget that big stop into the hairpin of the right-hander onto the back straight, that can get pretty nasty on the first lap of any GPVWC race, never mind Super League. So these guys are definitely going to have to keep their wits about them as we get ready for 71 laps of this brutal, tough, fast, nail-biting, aggressive circuit. And it's going to give us plenty of entertainment. So it's going to be a really exciting battle in Super League this time. Jenic Simoncic definitely has his dander up after losing a potential victory at Baku 2 weeks ago. And he has come straight back out of the blocks with a pole position time. That means he is definitely in business tonight. Leon Bock is actually flying the flag for the Evolution team. Has he got what it takes to topple Simoncic from the top?
Maybe. What I'm going to say is I think we're going to see a new winner tonight. In terms of this season, I think we're going to see a different winner today. As much as I want Yannick to do well, obviously I want all drivers to do well, but I think Yannick's a bit too far back to maybe get the win. I mean, the highest race winner we've got so far is 7th place Stefan Ruel. And I mean, we have seen results from far down in the grid this season, but I think Leon's got a very, very good chance to do it. If he can take the lead, obviously we don't know what wing settings Leone and Leon and Kantay, who, by the way, Kantay, a great lap to get into third for Adonis, by the way. Very, very good lap to get into there. But, yeah, I depends on what the wing settings they've gone for. Adonis tend to go a little bit higher, don't they, than the Evolutions and the Bursts. They always seem to go quite similar. But if I was to say who I think is going to win, I'm going to say Simoncic. I think Simoncic will have the bit between his teeth. He'll want to prove he can win. And, yeah, I just don't think anyone's going to have an answer to him today. I don't think it'll be a dominant victory, but I do think he is going to nudge it today.
So here's the grid for the Red Bull Ring. Jenic Simoncic and Leon Bock on the front row from Alessandro Kintay and Jeff Fournier on the second row of the grid. Row 3 is Wright Kilk for Red Archer and Germano Zappala for Scuderia Basilia. Stefan Ruaut in 7th for the Holland Racing Team and Fabrizio Gobbi in P8 for GSR by VBM. On the 5th row of the starting grid, P9 is Lauren Kiersmakers, P10 is Giuseppe Ragusa. Matthias Mus on the 6th row of the grid on the inside, alongside him is Maciej Mlinek for the Edge Esports team. Keep an eye on the man on the 7th row of the grid beside Roman Panzar in the second Burst Esport. It's championship leader Yannick Bock, 14th on the grid. Colin Spork in his Edge Esports is 15th, ahead of David Fidek in the Epic. Row 9 of the grid on P17 is Tobias Olsen for Cenobite, with Eros Mashuli now moving back to Adonis. Giuseppe Lino is 19th on the grid for Ghost Speed ADG, and Dan Stepkowski, powered by RSR, in 20th on the grid. Row 11 is Florian Gaia for the Epic Racing team, alongside him Thomas Vac in the second of the powered by RSR cars. Michael Francesconi in 23rd for Mayor Downard, and Mirko Lucchini for Green Stripes is 24th. Rounding out the field, Federico Russo in the second car, Adriano Opacini for Ghost Speed, and then Christian Pascal and Pascal Schmidt for Cenobite, rounding out the field. Interesting to note that we've got 5 drivers out there who have decided to go on a different tyre strategy to the rest. They're all on softs except for David Fidek, Eros Mashuli, Mirko Lucchini, Federico Russo, Adriano Opacini, and Pascal Schmidt. It's 6 of them, not 5. So it's definitely going to be interesting. The highest of them, David Fidek, always trying something different.
Yeah, he's always been quite good on his tyres, hasn't he? He's famous for his tyre-saving abilities, but we'll see if that works today. Tyre wear, I mean, it shouldn't be too bad round here. I wouldn't surprise me if you see quite a few one-stops today, medium soft, soft-medium, so maybe if they're feeling aggressive, they'll go for the 2, but yeah, not obviously Super League Lights wasn't a great representation, obviously, of the wet-dry, but yeah, it's going to be a long stint, but even on the softs, you can make them last quite a long time as the drivers pull into their grid slots now. So we're going to be waiting a bit of a while to get into it, I think.
So, Jernic Simincic and Leon Bock on the front row of the starting grid. Alessandro Quintai holding the honours for Adonis in a brilliant third place. Jeff Fournier back up to his best. In fact, Scuderia Basilia as a whole doing well in the top 6. Championship leader Yannick Bock lines up 14th on the grid. This has all the makings of a GPVWC modern classic. Lights are on. Let's race to the Red Bull Ring. Good start from Jernic Simincic, a perfect block out of the blocks, and Quintai trying to go for Bock immediately as they head into turn 1. Looks as though there's a clean start from at least the top 5. No problems for Quintai. He loses out initially to Fournier, and it looks as though there's a couple of drivers trying to work their magic through. Nobody's come off the road at the first corner. Yannick Bock on the inset trying to make up some progress and make up a move or two. It's a big lunge on the inside from Zappala. Zappala gets up into 4th position. Good racing as Yannick Bock goes wheel to wheel with Colin Spork and has to settle for 13th for the moment, but a fascinating opening tour and great runs from Fournier and Zappala. They are 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, Quintai got caught napping there a bit, didn't he? Obviously, Zappala lunging for it, making the move stick. So Scuderia Basilia on for a great result today if they can manage to stay where they are. 3rd and 4th, Fournier show going back to where he belongs, really. Fournier one of the quickest drivers on this field on his day, and he's back up in 3rd place. Yeah, clean turn 1, clean lap 1 by the looks of it as well. Haven't seen any incidents as we speak, so good stuff from the Super League boys. I think the closest thing we had to it off was one of the RSRs had to cut turn 1 on the inside of it just to avoid someone, but no harm doing. And yeah, we have 28 cars still on the grid and still going very, very quickly.
That is a majestic opening lap from Super League. Well done, everybody. And across the line, 70 more of those to go. I don't think they're all going to be as clean somehow. Watching Colin Spork in 12th place, trying to chase down Giuseppe Ragusa as they continue their squabble. But Simincic in the lead. Leon Bock second from Fournier, Zappala, Quintai, Kilk, Rohout, Gobby, Kiers Mackers and Matthias Mus. Ragusa in front of Spork and Bock. And on the inside line, we've got a battle as Ragusa has to shut the door on Colin Spork. And Mlanek has got the move on Yannick Bock. So Mlanek has gone up into 13th place. Good move from Maciej Mlanek.
I think.
Good battles so far in the field. There's Florian Gaia. Apologies if Discord is still having some difficulties for you. We will try and keep it going as long as humanly possible. Here's Flo Gaia in behind Vak. And Flo Gaia trying to move his way up the order in 20th position. Moving forward, here's the championship leader, Yannick Bock. And this is what happens when you are in the train trying to make up some ground. He's in 14th place. He's already 7 seconds back from Jernic Simincic as we go into the 3rd lap. It just, once you're in the cavalcade and you're in that freight train, it's very difficult to make progress because you're following the dirty air. And I did note that on a single team decided in the car development to focus on dirty air. They're all focusing on their other agendas up until this point. Good look at the inside there from Robin Panzar, just reminding Yannick Bock that he's there. No serious overtake, just a little bit of intimidation. Germano Zappala is actually the fastest man on track at the moment. 4th place on a 107.614. Robin Panzar trying to match the same sort of pace that his teammate and race leader Jernic Simincic is currently on. Simincic, I have to say, is doing a sensational job already. 7/10 of a second clear of Leon Bock as he tries to extend that gap enough so that he doesn't have to worry too much about looking in his rearview mirror. You can see that 6/10 of a second is not much, but in the grand scheme of things, he's already looking like he's opening up a state of intent here at the Red Bull Ring. But now we've got Bock, who will have DRS. This is where he can really start to utilize it. He'll close up into the braking zone for turn 1, and he'll get an opportunity on the back straight as well to really make a go of it. This could be the first big move of the race as Leon Bock tries to close in on Simincic. He's not going to make the big dive into the hairpin, but he could make the move into turn 4. They go down the back straight. DRS opens for Leon Bock. This is going to be an opportunity, and he knows it. Simincic is not going to want to relinquish this opportunity nice and early. He wants to hold on to the line, but you can see there's not quite enough straight for Leon Bock to make the difference there, Tom. He's going to have to be a little bit more patient than that.
Yeah, he took a bit of a tighter line into turn, well, what is technically turn 3, but yeah, what is really turn 2. Took a bit of a tight line going into it, and yeah, you only got a better exit. Obviously, like I said, not enough straight for it to for the DRS to really be effective. But he's hanging on. The Scuderia Basilia are actually very, very close going into turn 2. on the last lap. But obviously, Zapala backed out, knowing that he didn't want to cause any damage between the cars. But they're all still quite together quite nicely. There's no real big gaps developing as of yet. But Fournier a little bit closer this time by, as Leon Bock really does seem to be closing up quite well in the braking zones. But Simoncic doing much better on the exits at the moment, and yeah, that's keeping him ahead.
So Simoncic holding his nerve at the moment in front of Leon Bock. Up to the braking zone for 3. And you can see that Leon Bock gets very close indeed, but he just loses the tiniest whiff of acceleration off the turn. Now he can open the DRS. He's a lot closer this time than he was on the previous lap. This could be a bold maneuver on the inside. He's just not quite close enough, and it's far too early into the race to be making that kind of gamble, especially when you've got Jeff Fournier breathing down your neck. He's having to play the 2 roles simultaneously, offense and defense, and this is very difficult waters for Leon Bock to be treading at the moment, because you've got Jurnic Simoncic in front, looking a little bit vulnerable as he tries to get clear and is not quite managing to, but Jeff Fournier is waiting in the wings. Brilliant duel between these 3.
Yeah, I mean, Zapala's not exactly falling off the road either. A former race winner, obviously. Zapala won the final round of the season last year in Super League, so he knows what it takes to win a race in this series, and yeah, he's doing a great job. It's his best performance all year by far at the moment, so David Young's going to be a very, very happy man, team manager, as he watches these 2 duke it out for a potential win and podium places. So good stuff from him. But Stefan Ruar fastest lap of the race so far, 7.4. Very, very, everyone kind of in like a battle really from first to last. Really, look how close Fournier and Bock are getting both to each other. It's very, very close up here, and does either of them have the opportunity? In fact, I think Fournier may have a go on Bock.
Well, the thing is, he's going to get closer to Bock before he gets close to Simoncic, so this is a good chance for Fournier. He's really starting to hustle Leon Bock, and this is where Jeff Fournier really holds all the aces up his sleeve. Essentially, Leon Bock is going to have to get a hurry up here and start to attack Simoncic. Simoncic has clearly got speed, but not enough to drop these 2, who have a very stable car underneath them. Fournier looking so planted, so balanced with this car. It's like the good old days for Fournier. He really has got his mojo back, and he is charging forward, right in behind Leon Bock. Out of the final turn, the car swings out, a good slingshot maneuver off the curb, and both drivers looking very fired up behind Simoncic. There's definitely not going to be a dominant victory for anybody in this race, certainly the way things are currently stacking. Look at the Basilius, they're doing an incredible job in 3rd and 4th place, right off the start. Fournier balanced into turn 1. Zapala, nice and aggressive, but decisive as well in turn 3 on that opening lap, and that's what's put them up there. And look, Leon Bock getting a good acceleration off the turn now. He needs to make this move. He needs to get on terms with Simoncic, and he needs to get there because Fournier is going to threaten to make the overtaking move first. Down the back straight, Fournier has a look. Bock is not close enough. It's stalemate.
Yeah, so Simoncic is getting about 308 on the straight going down to turn 4. And that's compared to 318 in the DRS of Leon Bock, and he's just, like I say, he's run out of straight. If that straight was maybe like 50 meters longer, he could probably have a go, but it's just not long enough. And what you're really hoping for is a mistake out of turn 1 up to 2 and 3. You want to try and get the run and the DRS onto there, and try to cut the driver off so they don't get the DRS back going into turn 4. I know I did that quite successfully in FC, and it's a bit of a tactic because the detection zone for the second DRS zone going into 4 is actually in the braking zone for 3. So if you can play it right, you can actually kind of like do the other driver over, but obviously that requires having a run on him, which unfortunately these boys haven't quite got just yet. But Simoncic doing what he needs to do, focusing on the exits, taking a wide line in really, really well, taking a nice apex and just driving away on the exits, doing a really, really good job and showing why he is a champion.
We technically have an 8-car train for the victory at the moment because we've got Simoncic, Bock, Fournier, Zapala, Quintai, Kilk, Rualt and Gobby all within 3.5 seconds of each other. Kirsmacher's now starting to drop into the clutches of Matthias Muss, but any one of these 8 still very much with a chance to the victory in these early stages as we're on lap 8 of 71, and these laps are going to disappear very quickly indeed because it's a very quick lap here at the Red Bull Ring. So it's all about Leon Bock starting to make inroads into Simoncic, and Simoncic can really plant his car in all the places that will wind Leon Bock up, something chronic And as they come off the final turn, look, Leon Bok getting a lot more aggressive in terms of his stance through the curb. He chucks the car in, gets the power down fractionally early. He's trying to break away from Fournier and have a look into the hairpin. The thing is, he wants to make the right overtaking move. He doesn't want to compromise himself. If he gets the run into 3, then he leaves himself vulnerable on the exit, and Simoncic may be able to get him straight back again. So he's got to place the car well so that he can not only get past, but start to disappear. This is the moment. This is the opportunity. He's really starting to get close to him on the exit there, but Simoncic again plays him on the exit, tries to break the toe. Fournier's got to run now on Bok, down into the hairpin again. Is there going to be a move? No. This is a great game of chess, but nobody's moving their pawn into position.
Yeah, and we know that the Evolution and the Burst particularly do have a habit of not driving slowly, but driving to a pace, as we should say. So like they're not using 100% of their pace, but trying to make the tyres last, trying to get the strategy right. And we know we've seen it before with Simoncic before, where as soon as someone pits, he'll start doing fastest laps of the race out of nowhere. And I think that's probably a little bit of what's going on here. But if Leon does get past, I can see exactly something happening just with Leon and Yerne just swapped round. But yeah, Yannick Bok's not really made much progress, is he? Still in 14th and struggling to keep the guys ahead of him.
In fact, if you watch Yannick Bok on the inset, he's actually struggling in general. If you watch him through the corners, he's not quite able to maximise the throttle off the corner. I was watching him a lot in the third sector, and the car was travelling quite a lot on the exit curb. So Yannick Bok just doesn't quite seem settled with the car here at the Red Bull Ring. It's Leon, his brother, who's been able to get the most out of it. Down to the hairpin, he's got a bit of a gap to Fournier, but it's not enough again to just throw the car up the inside and hope it plants itself. As we saw in practice, this is a corner that really does chuck out the unprepared, and those who make the slightest error. The back end of the car really does want to overtake the front on this part of the course. We're on board with Robin Panzar in the inset, and he is looking at the final point at the moment. Just in front of him is Yannick Bok, the championship leader. So this is all down to Leon Bok, and we know how strong Leon Bok can be at the best of times, but he is essentially having to lead the battle for the team here. This is a great dynamic for Leon Bok, having to really step up to the plate here, with his teammate Yannick Bok looking very likely that he might not even score points the way things are currently going. He's in 14th, which is good enough, of course, for 2 points, but you really do need to sustain that over the course of a race. David Feidek, fastest lap of the race on medium tyres. That's worth pointing out, because David Feidek is clearly not doing things by halves, as usual.
Interesting, actually. So I was going to make a comment, actually, that the mediums really haven't worked. I mean, a lot of drivers who are on them have really slipped towards the back of the field. But yeah, David seems to have actually caught everyone up that was ahead of him. And yeah, fastest lap of the race so far. It's no mean feat. So, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I do think softs were the right choice to go on. I think there's quite a big disparity in the tyre compound here in terms of pace. But yeah, if he can keep up with this field, I mean, there's no reason why he can't work. And yeah, he's just on the back of the group with sort of really led by Yannick Bok, really, in 14th. So he's still thereabouts. So yeah, see what he can do in the next over the course of the race.
I can predict the inevitable message of friendship that David Feidek will send me later, where he'll tell me the context of why he was down in 18th for the first 12 laps of racing. There's always a reason why Feidek is not quite able to unlock the pure pace, but it isn't excuses. He's always good at painting the context into a proper image so that you can really see what's going on. But you can tell that Feidek is giving it absolutely everything. He's in the 107s on the medium compound tyres. In fact, he's actually matching the race leader's pace, despite the fact he's in traffic. So Feidek is doing a sensational job at the moment in 18th position, doing everything he can to work his way forward. Leon Bok getting closer again to Simoncic. Again, you can't just banzai on the inside and hope it's going to stick. This is a long game that they're playing at the front end of the field. But it is fascinating that Simoncic is not able to break away. Leon Bok doesn't feel confident enough in the car. He just gets a wash out there in the dirty air. You saw the big travel from Leon Bok. The car almost snapped away from him. And that is just how tough it is to run in dirty air in these cars. That was a big moment from Leon Bok. I really want to see that one again from on board, because that gives you such an indication of how much pressure there is on a driver to get things stable off the corner. That was very nearly game over for Leon Bok right there.
Yeah, well, then you look at it, he just got straight back up to Simoncic. I think we have got a replay, so if we could have a little look to see at that, that'd be lovely. But yeah, Leon Bok feeling the pressure, as you said, but he manages to do well to keep Fournier behind him and actually get struck back into it. And here we are. Here is that replay. Should we go? Here we go. See what he did going to this left-hander. He is a bit blind going into it, and he looks like he's braked on the white line. Oh, and he's just got a swapper, like I said. He's just lost the downforce on the rear. The rear stepped out and said, no, you're not doing that today. Well saved and well kept. Well done to keep Fournier behind. But look, straight back up to the back of Simoncic. Back to square one, really.
You can be very, very proud of that save, Leon Bog. No other driver out there would begrudge him how well he's been able to catch the slide, but also stay in touch with Simoncic is so difficult when you lose that kind of momentum. And now Fournier is making him pay for it. He really is hustling him now for second position. There's nothing for Fournier to lose at this point in the race. The Scuderia Basilias are doing an absolutely stellar job in third and fourth position right now. Quintai is there in P5 ahead of Kilk, Rualt and Gobby, and they are having a sensational race. But Fournier is making Leon Bock do all the hard work here, trying to edge him closer into Simoncic. Essentially what Fournier wants is for those two to start battling, and he can get a switchback maneuver, or he can just look after the tyres a little better, go 1 or 2 laps longer, get a decent lap out of the car, and perhaps even leapfrog them at the one and potentially only pit stop that these guys could do. It all depends on how the tyres go, but judging on what we've seen from David Fidek, they were able to match at a similar pace on the tyres, so that does suggest you were right, Tom, that these soft tyres could go quite a long way into this race.
Yeah, not that. Like I was saying earlier as well, I think they're running to a pace at the moment. I think they're going to try to make the one-stop work, which doesn't surprise me at all, really. But, yeah, I mean, Simoncic only doing 1:07.7s with no real pressure, or he's not really pushing, he's just going as he goes, leading the race lap by lap, just having fun. As Leon Bock, I was noticing actually, going into sector 3, got a little S, a little left-right, and Leon is understeering so much into those corners, and you can see him having to put the lock on, having to get out of throttle, get the car turned in. Obviously that's going to be using tyre wear, which obviously is going to be helping Simoncic's chances later on in the race. But I was going to say as well, maybe they're going to go for the undercut, but because where the gaps are so small at the moment, you can't risk getting caught in a train or getting caught behind someone in an over if you try to do the undercut with the faster tyres. So an overcut may be the best place to go, just for the fact that you will have clear air and can push.
A fascinating situation with everything being so evenly paced, so closely matched. I mean, we don't want to say that we are pleased at the absence of some of the big names from the factor, but if you take Yannick Bock, Liam Duval and Adam Maguire out of this race running, I mean, I know that Yannick Bock is down in 14th, but essentially looking likely not to pick up the win on this occasion as each lap passes. This is giving us an absolutely scintillating battle. Look, they're all still close together. Simoncic, Bock, Fournier, Zapala, Quintai, Kilk, Rualt, Gobby, Kiersmakers is now close in behind again. Mus and Ragusa, and then Spork. And I have to say, all the way through the field down to 28th, the field is still evenly matched. It's absolutely astonishing. There is only about 20 seconds covering the entirety of the field, which is absolutely astonishing under the circumstances. Nobody's really made the big mistake. Nobody's dropped the ball. Everybody's still pushing very hard at 10/10s, and they are making this race strategy work. This is sim racing as you want to see it.
Yeah, it's very much a strategical battle, isn't it, rather than a physical one as it stands at the moment. But yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, what, 20 seconds between the entire field? So Simoncic pits, he comes out last. There's nothing about it. He will come out in last place if he's pits. So, I mean, he could go for a last or first challenge. That'd be pretty fun. But, yeah, I think we'll just have to wait till we see some pit stops before we see the meat of this action happen. But I did just see an overtake on track, which was quite fun to see. It was Frederic Russo being overtaken by Opportunity for 23rd. Russo actually having another look around the outside going down to turn 4, but not quite making it stick. And Opportunity stays in 23rd.
I was about to ask you how Al Pacini managed to get himself into a GPVWC. Al Pacini. I did the same thing earlier. I wouldn't worry about it. Simoncic and Bock still hustling out of the front end of the field. We're looking at a pit stop this early. My goodness.
Thomas Vark, he decided to roll the ball. Let's see what he can do. So this is going to be interesting now. It's going to be good data for the rest of the teams. He's going to get into some free air. I can't see any damage on his car. Let's see what he does then. So, I mean, it's probably mean he has to do a 2-stop, which is fine. He goes onto the medium tyres. So, like I said, he's going to be able to push him quite a bit harder. As you look at the top 3, really continuing up again. But Vark's going to come out in lots of free air. He's going to have, yeah, loads of laps before anyone starts to pit, really. So, like I said, going on to the 2-stop, probably going to go medium from here. But, yeah, roll the dice. Fair play to you, fella.
So everybody will now be keeping a close eye on Thomas Vark as he gets back out onto the circuit again, because he deciding to go first means he's the guinea pig, essentially, for everybody else. They can analyze what laps he's doing. They can see what clear air does for the car, what it does for the new set of medium tyres, and they can make an estimate as to whether they need to stay on track or whether they need to box. And Thomas Vac, I suppose, from his perspective, he didn't exactly have anything to lose being in the position he was in, because he was just outside the points. So from his perspective, it didn't really make any difference. He wasn't going to lose much in terms of ground pace or momentum by making the gamble. So he may as well try something different in the hope that not being in the gaggle, not being in the dirty air, actually gives him a little bit of freedom to drive the car at his more relative and conservative pace. So here is Leon Bock, still hustling Jurnic Simoncic. And Jeff Fournier there in third position. Still so close, these three, and still not one of them prepared to make the ultimate lunge, although Bock is closer than he has been for a while here on Simoncic. Fournier gets very close in behind Leon Bock. He is getting impatient now in second place.
Yeah, I was going to say Fournier is not going to be one to hang around usually, so he's going to want to get past these two and show what he can actually do. But we're going to be watching Thomas Vac. He's going to be, like I said, he's on the inside. He's going to be doing his first lap now on these on his first flying lap on these tyres, so we see what he can do. But yeah, Fournier is going to want to try and get past. So I think he's thinking, I've got a lot more pace in this. I just want to go. As yeah, look at that. He's much tighter into the second to last corner than the two ahead of him. So maybe that's an interesting driving way of going around driving that corner. So obviously it's working for him. But he's lost a bit of time to the front two ahead of him. Yannick now, sorry, not Yannick. Leon looks a little bit closer to Simoncic this time by, but still, Simoncic is getting those exits. He's just nailing them every time.
Looking at how close it is from the front to the back, we're now watching Thomas Vac, who's on his own. Stupkowski now pits, so Stupkowski decides to do the same thing. Dan Stupkowski has decided, you know what, this is maybe worth a gamble. We're not doing anything, we're not going anywhere, so we may as well just throw the dice and see what pitting in early and getting out of the freight train does for us long term.
Right, so Vac's just on a 7.3, and that compares to what, half a second a lap faster than the leader. So Vac's going to be the fastest man on track. Like, it's just a no-brainer. So he's done the... Okay, they're pulling after two-stop, and maybe these guys are maybe aiming for a one, but Thomas Vac's going to gain about, no word of a lie, about 7 or 8 places just by doing this. So let's see how see if strategy works out for him, but yeah, it's looking good.
And as a result of that, how many more drivers are going to think, do you know what, 7 or 8 places is going to put me in the points. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. There could be some reactionary pit stops.
Gobby.
Yeah, Gobby deciding to go for it. Do you know what? This is worth the gamble. This is worth doing. So Gobby does the same thing and he pits in.
And for someone like him, who we know is probably one of the best, if not the best on tyres in the series, for him to do that, yeah. Someone else has got their pit box selected as well. You can see the pit man in front of us. But yeah, so interesting to see that we've got some drivers deciding to go for the undercut, quite severe undercut at this point as well.
Well, Dan Stokowski has just set the fastest second sector of anybody in the race. So he's clearly been able to utilise the clean air and make good race pace. And this is the thing. When you're in dirty air, all you're doing essentially is just following what the guy in front does. And Simoncic clearly conserving tyres, trying to make them stretch. The guys behind have triggered onto this and realised, do you know what? He's going to hold us up big time. We can actually pull a fast one on him. He may lose quite a few places with 3 or 4 of the drivers behind deciding this might work, and there'll be a furious, frantic bunch of team managers who'll be thinking, do you know what, this is not a bad idea. And now a few more teams deciding to go. Stefan Rualt decides it's time to make the plunge, as does Colin Sport and also Olsen.
Yeah, they're having to react to Gobby, but problem is Gobby's come out he's not in traffic, but as we've got one of the MDRs coming in, that's Michael Francesconi, but Gobby's now on the back of these, on the back of the pack, so he's actually going to be in dirty air now. So interesting to see. He probably will come out ahead, but he's not going to be getting the most of these tyres. Yeah, he jumps. There we go. He jumps. Rual. Oh, actually, no, maybe not. Oh, goodness me, they're side by side.
So Stefan Rualt obviously now in a bit of a battle, and there's not going to be a lot of room to manoeuvre. Gobby just holds it, chops across. Rual tries to hold the inside line, but Gobby goes right across his path. And that was some brilliant racecraft from Gobby. No way, mate. I was the one who decided to gamble first. You're not going to react. You're not going to get the place. And that was Fabrizio Gobby being incredibly aggressive, but in a very ruthless and efficient manner.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't be happy at that. If I was
Leon Bock,
I'd be annoyed.
Leon Bock decides it's time to go for the gamble. He comes in now. So following Simoncic for as long as he has, Leon Bock has said enough is enough. And the man in P2 comes into the pits. This is a big gamble.
Here's Makos and Lino also coming in, but oh man, I don't know. This is going to be a big risk for Leon. If he comes out in traffic, he's stunned. You watch now Simoncic set fastest lap of the race on those tyres. He's going to fly.
Out goes Leon Bock.
50.
And he
Okay, he's got a bit of space. He's got a bit of space ahead of him. Russo's about 2 seconds up the road. But now we want to watch Simoncic's times. What can Simoncic do? Look at that. He's already bolted. He's already gained about half a second on Fournier in this lap alone. Look at that. Fournier's now outside the DRS zone. Simoncic, look at that. He's taking so much more speed through these corners now. It's crazy.
Is it fair to say now that everybody's decided, you know what, the one stop isn't working anymore? It's going to be two stop now.
Well, Simoncic coming in. Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Coming in, and so is Fournier. So Simoncic and Fournier deciding to take the plunge and both come in together. Because obviously they want to react to what we saw from the former second place man, Leon Bock. And also in comes Right Kilk. So it's going to be Simoncic, Fournier and Kilk all in together. The one we need to watch now is Leon Bock. And he has got Federico Russo in front of him. This could be costly. Russo continues on. Has Leon Bock got this right? Simoncic coming out of the pit lane. It's going to be tight here, Tom. This is going to be absolutely narrow to the margin stuff. And I think Simoncic has held him off. I think he's moved to cover. Leon Bock having to hold up behind Federico Russo. Bock is going to get the slipstream, though. This is going to be so close. Bock has got his opportunity. In behind Russo. He tugs back in behind Simoncic. Can he dive to the inside line? Simoncic has got to be careful. Watch his line. And Simoncic just gets away with that.
Yeah, he left literally one car's width of for Leon to go up, and obviously Leon, we saw the Hamilton-Rosberg incident, he was so tight, he wouldn't have been able to make it work, and very good, that was Simoncic, that was all Simoncic in lap. You just saw he put so much effort to put that time in the in-lap, and he's done it perfectly, so well done to Simoncic. Now the key one is going to be Sapala, who's obviously now probably going to be in the pits now. Kintai continues on, actually, interestingly, for the Adonis, but now Sapala would have had a free lap of free air, so let's see what he can do when he comes out.
Now, the man I'm going to keep an eye on through all of this is Fidek, because, of course, David Fidek is on the medium tyres, and he was lapping at a similar pace to the race leaders throughout the entirety of his stint. Fidek's got an amazing chance here to leapfrog at least a few places. He was 18th initially before the pit stop phase. He could get himself well into the top 10 here without any hesitation at all, as Zapala gets out onto the circuit and he rejoins where he was. He is behind Fournier.
Fournier, though, stuck behind Russo, tried to go on the outside of turn one. That was an impressive move for me to stick. Oh, Simoncic, he's mugged it up! Oh my goodness me!
Simoncic is gone! And that's going to be an opportunity, surely, for Bock to get by. He's done it, so is Opportuni, and Simoncic making a rare mistake. That is, we've got to see a replay of that. Simoncic messing it up with the hairpin, Tom.
Yes, he's making a move up nice and easy. Obviously, we'll get the replay. Here we go. It's a replay now coming through. Thank you to Mr. Teder for getting that up so quickly. But here we go. Going into turn one, nice and easy. Right, we can sit behind and get the DRS. Lovely stuff. This is going to be an easy overtake. I'm on fresh tyres. So you fought, Mr. Simoncic. Here he goes up the inside. And, yeah, you'll just see. He goes up the inside and he seems to basically forget to brake. Well, this is rubbish hammer angle, isn't it? There he goes up the inside. Look, he just brakes way too late. And he just... As if his brakes failed. I don't think they have. But, yeah, just... completely nothing. Yannick, keeps saying Yannick. Leon gets past. Opportunity gets past. Now he's going to have to re-overtake Opportunity. But yeah, very, very big mistake. And not Panzer, sorry, I've just seen that he's leading the race. Bock now takes second place. And yeah, the lead of this race. Oh, big accident, turn one.
Oh, no.
Lucchini.
Yeah, that is indeed. Lucchini's gone. Oh, dear, oh, dear. No, sorry, Opportunity, I should say. So that's gone very badly wrong. And we've got damage for Mirko Lucchini, who is now struggling to get his way back to the pits. David Fidek taking the opportunity to come through as Opportunity comes out of the pit lane. So, obviously, we've had a big accident there. I want to see if we can have a replay of that one, because it's definitely Lucchini that's carrying the battle scars from that one. And, well, a big, big moment in this race, because that's obviously Lucchini, one of the drivers who was basically the cork in the bottle for a lot of drivers, taken out of the equation. Panzer comes into the pits from the lead, so Panzer will drop back down the order. And obviously it's going to now have Bock, Simoncic, Fournier and Zapala, with Gobbi in front of Russo and Quintai. So Russo having a bit of a battle as Russo comes into the pits, that's why. So Quintai will get back up into 6th place in front of Kilken Ruout, Kiersmakers and Colin Spork. Where does that leave Yannick Bock? That puts him in 12th place, so he's actually made up a couple of places out of the pit stops as Robin Panzar gets out alongside Ragusa. Ragusa's going to out-drag him, though, surely. Panzar's going to try and keep his car to the inside line at the hairpin. He can brake just a fraction of a second later, and Panzar holds the place instead of Ragusa. Good driving.
And not just that, he's done the thing that I said happened in FC, so he's actually got the DRS as well, so that's going to help Ragusa, help him hold Ragusa off. But yeah, and there he goes up the inside to hold Ragusa off, and Panzar takes the space, and very well done, Robin Panzar, very, very racy today, keeps his 13th place spot.
That was well read. Ragusa coming back on the inside though, and he slides the car out. Goodness me, that could have been very messy. And on the exit, now Ragusa is having to struggle to fend off from Maciej Mlinek. So Maciej Mlinek has a good opportunity to move up into 14th place as a result. Now we're getting some proper racecraft from these guys as they are struggling to get back into the rhythm that we saw in the first element. What did Tom Parker say at the top of the bill? He said, we've got to wait for the pit stops for them to get racy. You were right, mate.
Yeah, now we've got Fournier trying to close down Mr. Simoncic as well. Simoncic about 2 and a bit seconds now behind Leon Bock. Leon Bock 7.0 last time by, so looking very, very speedy, waiting on Simoncic to set a proper lap just yet. But Fournier 7.3 as well, so Leon Bock actually looking very, very strong at this moment in time. It's this big gaggle of cars there, as you can see on your screen, 14th, 15th. Mlinek and Fidek making a couple of places out of this pit stop. Hit a little bit earlier than I thought he would, but yep. Fidek now got up the inside, defending there from 17th place man, I believe that's Moose. And yeah, on the outside, I'd be impressed if he can make that stick. Doesn't quite do it. And yeah, Mlinek stays in 15th, Fidek 16th. Oh, Lino up the inside of Moose there. Can he make it around the outside? That would be an impressive move. I did see it done. But there we go, Lino around the outside. Very well on Lino.
Giuseppe Lino decides to hold the car to the outside. He knew that Moose was going to be hesitant on the inside line and just stuck the car.
Believe that maybe Jake having issues again with his connection, so fingers crossed he'll be back.
I am indeed.
He's back. There we are. Look at that. Look, I'm just a good luck charm.
I was literally just pointing out that Matthias Moos and Giuseppe Lino, that battle was getting pretty tasty. So very exciting stuff for them as they continue to hold the battle throughout.
I was going to say as well, Leon Bock 7.1 last time by, 6.9 from both Fournier and Simoncic. They are actually closing on Bock ever so slightly. Still a 2-second gap, so a little bit of time to make up yet. But yeah, Leon now can just run his own race, go as fast as he needs to do, and go from there. Obviously, we're going to be seeing another pit stop, and I imagine it's going to be on mediums. I don't think anyone can make him last long enough to make the softs last for another stint. But yeah, Gobby did quite a good job out of that. He's up to 5th place. So good moves from him. Varka now up to 11th as well, so he's made some good places out of that as well. So the early pitters seem to benefit quite well here.
Yeah, Thomas Vark, of course, let's not forget, before the pit stops, he was in 16th place. He was just outside the points, and now he's in 11th. So Thomas Vark, definitely the main beneficiary from that first pit stop gamble. He was the first, of course, to change tyres, and he's the one who's really made it work for him.
Gobby v Zapata for 4th place. I just went on board with Zapata. He's all squiggly outside, going down to turn 4. Gobby around the outside. Here we go. DRS, he moves across in the braking zone. I'm a bit unsure about that, Gobby, but other than that, yeah, Zapata losing the place. I want to see if he made a mistake going into turn 3 or not, but yeah, Gobby up into 4th.
Well, that's very well held from Gobby. It's a little bit cheeky in terms of how it was dealt with. Maciej Mlinek and David Fidek still battling over the final points-paying position. 15th place, Fidek just about squeezing his car to the inside line. Doesn't quite have the traction to sustain the momentum on the inside line. Through the left, through the right. Plenty of curb as they can now climb up the crest and up to the inside. Maciej Mlinek is either defending from Fidek or considering another pit stop. I think it's the former as they come through. So yes, indeed, Maciej Mlinek just holding his guard in front of David Fidek. And of course, Giuseppe Lino is the man next up in behind. Adriano Opportuni sets the fastest second sector of anybody in the race as Fidek launches on the inside, has to bail out of it on Maciej Mlinek. I thought he was going to make that one work in a turn 1, but the problem is there's still a long way to go in the race, and Fidek may well be fired up, but he just can't quite get that maneuver to work on the inside of Maciej Mlinek. It's very early doors to be going for a big gamble.
Yeah, and see, going for an overtaking turn 1 is probably just the worst thing you can do. If you don't make it stick, you don't get past, you've lost all the momentum. You may have DRS, yeah, but you've lost all that momentum, and the guy ahead of you is just going to run away. So, yeah, weird decision making there from Farder, but yeah, he's not lost a place thanks to it. But yeah, he's obviously going to have to go to soft tyres on his next pit stop, so that could shake things up a little bit as we go further on into the race. But so he may be looking at maybe even a top 10 finish by the end of this. But yeah, see how he can get past Mlinek. Obviously, a bit of a gap now to Ragusa ahead of him, but big gap as well between 3rd and 4th now, with Gobi and Zapata obviously squabbling over 3rd place as it stood at the time. And Fournier actually slowly starting to get up to Simoncic. Simoncic not as fast as Bock at the moment, but yes, Fournier is probably looking the more likely one to attack at this moment in time.
Expect David Fido to be in the points for this one, because if you notice, he started the race on mediums, he made a pit stop, and he's back on the mediums. So he's going to have softs at the end of the race, and Fidek is clearly quick on the mediums. He's going to be absolutely lightning on the softs if he's able to make the transition to the compounds late in the race. So he's definitely one to keep an eye on. And there's going to be plenty more great battles to come. Simoncic having been completely outsmarted by Leon Bock, having made a mistake and dropping back behind Leon Bock now to the tune of 2 seconds. Big mistake for Leonid Simoncic. I'll be fascinated to hear what happened there, whether he just, as you say, Tom, just got distracted by the back marker, or the car he was racing against, I suppose, because it wasn't really a back marker at that point. They were still in the middle of the pit stop phase. So a very interesting situation, but Jeff Fournier is now the recipient. He can hustle Simoncic for 2nd place.
Yeah, but he's now going to be in the DRS zone. Oh, he's not. I'm surprised at that. I'm convinced he would be. But yeah, Simoncic is now a little bit faster than Bock that time now by. So he is 10th by 10th, lap by lap. He is reducing that gap. So we could see a three-way fight for the lead still go on. But Gorby now looking very, very quick as well. He's starting to close him in. Still 6 seconds off the lead, or just shy of 6 seconds, should I say. So still there or thereabouts. And Zapala's not exactly run away. Kantai's also there in 6th. So still got a long way to go, but yeah, Gobi looking got a bit between his teeth, wants to try and regain a podium position, obviously finishing 6th place last time out in Baku. He will want to get back onto the podium, and obviously 4th place in a good position to try and get that today.
So the 3 big victors from the first pit stop section, it's quite clearly Leon Bock who took the lead, Fabrizio Gobi who worked his way up into 4th position after that brilliant battle underneath Germano Zapala, and of course Thomas Vark, who worked his way up into 11th position, just in behind Colin Spork, and ahead of Yannick Bock. And that's interesting. I genuinely thought Yannick Bock would make lighter work of Thomas Vark than he has. Vark is actually one of the most impressive drivers in this field today. He's really made that gamble work in his favour, and he's still only 12 seconds off the lead. There's still very comparable pace between all of the teams in this phase of the race. Here is Thomas Vark, 11th position. He's got Colin Spork on the run. Vark is doing an amazing job here.
Being a comparable base, it did make me laugh a couple of laps ago. I was watching Pascal Schmidt down in 27th place and last of the runners, still going obviously after Mirko Lucchini's accident and his subsequent retirement. Pascal was the same pace as the leader, and it just made me laugh that everyone in his field is doing a 107.0 or thereabouts, and it's just like, it's just crazy how close it is, really.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see that the drivers up at the front are as equal in terms of lap pace as the drivers towards the tail end. It is so even and so close in the GPVWC Super League. You really have to be at the top of your game, and you really do have to be in your prime to race with these guys. You cannot afford to make a single error in judgment. Thomas Vark looking very, very aggressive in behind Colin Spork. He really is starting to eat up the road. Yannick Bock is just trying to stay on his tail, essentially, and go with him in the hope that Vark gets a slingshot maneuver on Spork, and the door might be left open for him to get another position off them. But Yannick Bock, this is not the same driver we saw last time out at Baku or the time before that at Bud. He's really struggling to make an impression. It's almost like he's a different bloke behind the wheel.
I think he's just struggling trying to get past cars. I'm not sure if maybe the setup isn't suited. Maybe he thought he'd be a bit further up, so he's not set up for overtaking, as it were. But yeah, he is struggling. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's obviously made place where he started.
Lino on Fidek, and he's messed up the exit. Sorry, Tom. Lino on Fidek, and he messed up the exit. Fidek was able to get him back on the switch, and Mus almost managed to get through past Giuseppe Lino as well there. Almost a textbook copy of what we saw. Oh, contact! Matthias Mus just nudges the back of Giuseppe Lino. That was so close.
Yeah, that was poor driving from Moose. I mean, he was very far back. He was never. I mean, Lino was always going to go into that corner there, and Yeah, I think Moose is just feeling a little bit frustrated there. He's straight back onto the back of Lino, but yeah, maybe a bit of frustration creeping in for the Red Archer man there. As Fournier sets the fastest lap of the race, a 6.8 to close right onto the back of Simoncic. Can he make a move going into turn 3?
I'm going to make a big, bold gamble here. Fournier for P2. I genuinely think he's got an opportunity here on Simoncic, and we've seen Simoncic crumble under the pressure once before. Can Fournier make his opportunistic moment? This is definitely going to be a tough battle, and you can see Simoncic already feels quite intimidated by Fournier. He tucks into the inside line, trying to break the toe of the Frenchman. Fournier getting close. A little bit of wobble under the braking zone, but he's got good acceleration off the turn. He's still very close in behind Janusz Simoncic, who is now just 1.7 back from Leon Bock. But as you said before, Jeff Fournier, fastest lap of the race, a 106.8 compared to Bock on a 107.4 and Simoncic on a 107.2. So Fournier is definitely the man making a bid.
Yeah, like I said, Simoncic still slowly catching monkey onto Bock. So who knows? I think there will be. I think this is still a three-way fight for the lead. I think we're just about to go over half distance now as we cross the line. So still long way to go. But yeah, I still think it's a three-way race for the victory today.
And we reach the half distance mark. 35 laps done. 35 to go now as we're on lap 36. And I have to say, that has flown by. Absolutely flown by. It always does in Super League, of course. But we're on the edge of our seats waiting to see which of these three Titanic superstars are going to get through on the top step of the podium. Leon Bock, Janusz Simoncic, Jeffrey Fournier. It's very tough to know who's going to get it done. Here's Fournier again, down the back straight. Can he get close enough to Simoncic? No, but he can intimidate him all he likes. And he's definitely getting very fired up there. Fourth position for Fabrizio Gobbi. Then Germano Zappala in P5 ahead of Alessandro Quintai. Still doing a great job for Adonis in P6. Right Kilk, 7th ahead of Stefan Rualt. Lauren Kiersmakers and Colin Spock. 11th, Thomas Vark after his brilliant switchback maneuver in the pit stops for the undercut. Then it is Yannick Bock, championship leader, down in 12th place, only looking for 4 points today, the way he's currently going. Robin Panzar, Simoncic's teammate, 13th place ahead of Giuseppe Ragusa in the second of the GSR VBMs. And the final point currently looking at going to Maciej Mlanek in front of Fidek, Lino and Mus. Still very close indeed. Just one retirement, Mirko Lucchini, after his accident at turn 1, about a dozen laps ago.
I think maybe the top 8 are all around about the same pace, all in that 106.8, 106.9 gap at the moment. The slowest driver on the top 8 actually probably was Bock, out in the lead, 7.2. So looking not vulnerable, but maybe still just managing the pace. And obviously Yannick will be very happy that Leon is winning this race, obviously, because although Simoncic is a little bit further back in the championship, he is going to be a threat no matter what anyone will say. If you say he's not, I think you need to get your goes if you're checked, because Simoncic is fast and he's proven it in the last few races. And I still think there is a challenge for this title. Yes, he's 28 points clear of Maguire, who's not here. But Leon will have a fight in his hands. Yannick will have a fight in his hands, and I don't think he's... I think he knows that as well. So he's going to be... That's why he was so frustrated after qualifying. Qualifying 14th, you saw him after qualifying. Really quite frustrated behind the wheel. So... I'm
not sure how, but Fidek's lost a couple of places. So Fidek is down to 18th now behind Lino and Mus. So that's worth having another look at, because Fidek was fighting fit there in behind Maciej Mlanek for the final point.
Just seen it. Yep, there we are. So going into, tried to make a move onto Mlanek, going into turn 4, and just not quite making it stick. He was a little bit late. He's got a swapper on. He's gone to the inside, and yeah, Lino and Moose have both got past. Yeah, because we've got a replay, so I'll be able to talk you through it as it comes up. So yeah, going down to turn 4, like I said, he's got his slipstream, he's got the run, and it's a little bit break. Mlanek doesn't, I'm not sure if he doesn't see him maybe, but yeah, just gets a little bit of a, has to go to the inside, and yeah, Fidek loses 2 places. Lucky not to lose 3 there actually, but yeah, Fidek could be a bit frustrated with that, I believe.
Yeah, that was a bit of a moment or two. It's a hard one to call in terms of who's to blame there as well, because that move, as far as David Fidek is concerned, he will think, and quite rightly so as a racing driver, I had the move, I had that done. And obviously Maciej Mlanek thought otherwise and decided to take what would he, I guess, argue as his normal racing line. A very angry David Fidek, because that's the fastest first sector of anybody in that last lap. So Fidek clearly very determined to make up for the time lost. And unfortunately for David Fidek, that manoeuvre has basically put him back to where he started in the first pit stop rotation, because he was 18th and he is back there, unfortunately. So all that hard work that David Fidek did in the initial stages come undone. Into the pits comes David Fidek. He's decided, right, there's nothing I can do about this now. I've got to take another gamble. Now, this is obviously going to be for, well, can it be for soft tyres? Because it's still That's going to be 32 laps on soft tyres to get to the end of the race, but I think he's got no choice. Yes, he does go softs.
I think he's going to have to pit one more time. I mean, I know in Superleague Lights the softs were going for a very long time, but we were also driving in the wet, like on a drying track, so you weren't pushing as hard, so big risk. I think he's got to do one more stop. But yeah, okay, he's felt he's had to do it. He's come out of last place of the runners on the track, but I mean, he's got a lot of free air to see what he can do.
He can certainly gain good track position. Whether or not he'll still have the tyre life sustained at the end of this third stint behind the wheel, that's where things are going to get very interesting. Jeff Fournier hustling Jernid Simoncic into turn 1 on the power. Up the straight. He will have DRS. So he's going to get close again to Simoncic. Simoncic has DRS though just on Bok, interestingly enough. So he has got closer again. And this is exactly what you were telling us, Tom. He is just little by little getting back on terms with Leon Bok. He's back in DRS range now, down to under a second. So it's back to square one. And this time it's Leon Bok trying to soak up all the pressure from Simoncic and Fournier.
Yeah, not just that. So obviously Simoncic has gained about a second and a bit on Bok over this stint. But yeah, that means Gobby has as well. And Gobby now less than 5 seconds behind the leader. So they all start to slowly concertina up. But now obviously Simoncic will be getting a taste of his own medicine from the first stint, as now he's going to be in the dirty air of Leon Bok. See what Leon can do and if he can withhold the pressure.
Fournier closing in on Simoncic. And Simoncic closing in on Bok, exactly as they were. Lap 41, 31 laps to go. And it's all about the waiting game now. Who cracks first under the pressure? Because Simoncic is massively gaining on Leon Bok on the run to turn 3. Let's listen to them under braking for the third corner. Fournier just getting good traction off the turn. Simoncic a lot closer to Leon Bok than he has been before. And the roles are reversed. This is Simoncic now playing devil's advocate. This is how you get yours, mate. You pushed me. I made the error. I'm not going to make that mistake twice. And now Leon Bok is the one who's got to try and get clear of Simoncic and Fournier. But Fournier is fired up here. He knows he's got a good opportunity. David Fidek, fastest lap of the race, of 106.1 in clear air. So Fidek definitely with a good chance of breaking into the top 10. But, as you say, Tom, I think that's inevitable on that sort of pace that he's going to have to pit again.
I mean, yeah, he's a second and a half faster than the leader. So, I mean, by far and away the fastest person on track. So, I mean, yeah, he'll get a few overtakes done, but he's going to have to pit again. I mean, he may still get points. I mean, I'd be impressed, but he may still get some a few points from this race. But, yeah, good luck to him. And, yeah, fair play to him. He's gone for it. A different strategy, maybe it'll work out.
So Simoncic now getting ground on Leon Bok once again. And this is definitely Leon Bok in some kind of trouble because Simoncic is reeling him in big time. Now, the question is, when do you make the bid to go to the second pit stop? Because it is getting toward that sort of pace now if you want to make a switch to mediums again. So I would suspect that anybody who's going to try and take a conservative tyre-saving route to the victory will be thinking about that second pit stop within the next 4 laps. Anybody who's going to try and stretch the tyres out and go for softs at the end will probably be waiting another 8 or 9 laps, I would have said, Tom. So it's going to be fascinating to see which of these 3 drivers blinks first, because whoever does will know exactly where their head is working in terms of whether they go for softs or mediums.
Yeah, and I mean, they'll be able to look at Fidek. They'll see what pace he's doing. Obviously, in his low 106, it's his second 106.1 in a row. So, they'll know what pace he can do, and obviously I do think the softs, like I said before, earlier in the race, that a delta is quite big here. I think it's probably like 4 or 5 attempts in it, which around this track is quite big. So, yeah, you really ideally want to be on softs, and I think that's probably what they're aiming to do. You probably see Bok coming maybe lap 50, maybe even a little bit earlier, like I said, 8, maybe 7 or 8 laps before they come in. And yeah,
Simoncic just got a great exit from the corner. Sorry to cut you off, Tom. This is going to be the best chance yet Simoncic will ever get on Leon Bok. He goes left because that's where Leon Bok sends him. They go side by side. Simoncic tries to squeeze into the inside apex, and Simoncic still holding on there as they come round the far side. Surely this is Simoncic into the lead. He comes into the inside of the left-hander and takes the lead. Brilliant from Jernid Simoncic. Amazing.
Good stuff. Nice and clean as well. No bashing there involved. So how did that all come about? Because he wasn't really close enough for a thing. Did think Leon may have had a bit of a squiffy exit out of one of the corners. I'll have to run a replay. Yeah, he had a bit of a poor exit out of turn 1. And yeah, that just gives Simčić the line. Simčić very sensible, not going for it in turn 3. And yeah, great move down into turn 4. Good stuff from Ioannis Simčić, your new race leader. Or shall I say returning race leader?
Returning race leader indeed. A proper race of it now between these three. Now, the big question is, what does Leon Bock do? Does he wait it out?
Oh, he's got to watch out for Fournier first. He's right behind him. Fournier, I think, could be going for a move into turn 4 here.
Almost certainly, Fournier with a great opportunity. He's very close. Bock is about to lose second place here unless he can hold that car to the apex. Fournier has a look. He's going to try and get close, but he's not close enough not to make that gamble.
Fair enough. Very sensible there from Jeff. I thought he'd have gone for that. I mean, I would have done. Fair play to him. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to dive down the inside. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe, okay, you overshoot a corner and you lose the place. But yeah, I mean, he's still got a big enough gap behind to Gorby, so... Sensible stuff from Fournier. Fair play to him. I reckon you'll see Fournier pit first out of these three. I've got a feeling that he will try and... I think his only chance to win maybe is to try and get an undercut. Obviously, overtaking very difficult. Leon had to make a mistake coming out of 1 for Yoni to get that run. So hopefully Jeff can make a race of it, and hopefully I'd like to see him coming first. Just make it a bit interesting.
You certainly can't bank on too many of those mistakes to try and make a difference. Here is the... Yep, so Vark decides to go for the pit stop again. And again, he is the first one, really, from this group of drivers, other than Fiduk, to blink. Now, Fiduk, of course, was frustrated by being in an incident, but Thomas Vark again decides to be the one who decides, you know what, it's time for a pit stop. He jumped up several places from about 16th to 11th. If he makes another 5 jumps forward, he's going to end up in 6th place. I don't quite think he's going to manage that. But Thomas Vark definitely doing a very mature drive here at the Red Bull Ring, certainly giving himself the best possible chance to get as many points out of this race as possible by trying something just a little bit different in terms of strategy. Stepkowski is in the pits as well, so Stepkowski deciding to go the same route. But look at Simčić now that he's got past Bock. He is pulled to 1.3 seconds clear now. So Bock is actually struggling. Has he come into the pits? I think that might be it. I think, you know, Bock has actually decided...
Gobby's in.
Gobby's in, I do apologise. So it was just something to do with the way that they came through at the splits between Simčić and Bock. But Simčić is disappearing. He's dropping the hammer. He's trying to get away.
So Gobby and Ru are both in. This is going to be interesting. So if I had to go on to mediums, will Gobby go on to softs? No, he doesn't. He does stay on the medium choice. Probably the best choice to go. I think he's a little bit too far to go on the softs. But this is Gobby's bid. And I'm going to say, this is Gobby's bid to win this race. He's going to try and now get some amazing laps in. He's got to get ahead of Mashuli. Oh no, if he got ahead of Mashuli, he has a very good chance. But Mashuli just up the road from Masters lap 6.0 from David Fiduk. So these new soft tyres for him are working wonders. But yeah, Gobby, if he'd got out ahead of from the Adonis there, he had a good chance of potentially winning this race. Now to see what Simčić, Bock and Fournier do out front. Are they going to respond to this?
Well, Simčić sets his fastest lap of the race, which is a 1:06.6.
Oh, Fournier's in second.
Yes, Fournier is in second. So how has that happened? Has there been a pit stop for Bock? Or did Bock make a mistake?
Well, Bock's in now as a response.
Now, did Bock make a mistake? Or did Fournier make a beautiful overtaking move? We're going to have to look at a replay. But Leon Bock decides, I can't sustain this. I've got to come into the pits. Interesting that it's the Evolution team that are on the back foot here.
Yeah, it's not like them to be on the back foot. Let's see what happened here. It was going into turn 3. Okay. Leon did what Yoni did. He went too deep into turn 3. And Fournier ran to go, yep, here we go. So here's the replay. We'll get you up on screen for you. And yeah, it was just, like I said, the same thing that happened to Simčić. He's gone too deep into turn 3, over the anti-cut on the outside there. And Fournier, nice as you want to go, into, well, that was second place. So now Leon back out, ahead of Mashuli crucially. So good stuff from him, but Gobby now past Mashuli.
That is exactly what we were saying. You cannot afford to make a single mistake. We've seen an error from Simčić. We've seen an error from Leon Bock, and that is costly. It really does have you. Yeah, Simčić is in. Now, this is going to be an interesting tactic because now that he's dropped Bock, does he go conservative and go for the mediums, or does he decide, you know what, we're going Fournier in as well. So are they going to go softs or going to go mediums? Surely they've got to go medium.
Yeah, I think it's too much of a risk to go soft. If you lose your... Yeah, medium. It's too much of a risk. I mean, maybe with 20 laps to go, but I think maybe 25 or however many are to go. Just a bit too... Wait a minute, is that... Fournier's on. Fair play, Fournier. Fournier's gone for it, though. Like I said, this is his chance. Like I said, I mean, it's his chance to win. I don't think he's under any threat from the guys behind, if I'm honest. So this is his only chance to win. I can see why he's done it.
Fournier decided, you know what? If he's going on mediums, I'm going on softs. It might just work, and I might just be able to hold it long enough if I get past him. Good for you, Jeff. You are giving us an absolute race now. This is going to be such an interesting battle because Fournier is going to have the 1 lap pace. He gets out in front of Leon Bock. Bock is on the mediums, so expect Fournier to disappear away from Leon Bock to get up close to the back wing of Simoncic. But it is going to be a tough battle. There's no two ways about that. Zapala comes in from the lead of the race, as too does Kintai from 2nd place.
Interesting. So I wonder if Zapala will follow Jeff and go on to mediums. As right, Kilk now takes over the lead of this race. Goes on for another lap as Kizmaker's also in. So it doesn't see if the Scuderia Brazilians are both thinking the same here. We'll have to watch as he pulls it into his box now.
So Zapala, what will he do? Is it mediums or softs, Tom?
It's softs, as is Kintai, as is Kizmaker's. Okay. So maybe obviously they can obviously better on tyre wear than I am. Fair play to him. But yeah, the interesting is as well, Jeff got out ahead of Leon. So that's key. He won't have to re-overtake Leon for the 2nd place. And now he's just got to try and chase Yoni down. He's got quite a big gap. There's a gap of about 3 seconds, 2.5 maybe. So can he try and make these moves as it goes? Like I said, I think there's quite a big tyre delta. So we'll have to see if he can make that work and try and make a move onto Yoni.
And he's got to make those tyres last 23 laps. Easier for Simoncic than it will be for Fournier, without any shadow of a doubt. There are a few who have gone softs for this final stint. Federico Russo doing the same thing, as did Colin Spork and Matthias Muss, interestingly enough, as Wright Kilk comes into the pit from the lead in front of Yannick Bock. So it's going to be interesting now. When will Yannick Bock make the pit stop? The answer is not this lap.
No, and Yannick will try and go to the end on his mediums. That'd be a sight to see.
It certainly would. But what if he could make it happen? What if Yannick Bock could really look after these tyres and get himself... Well, if he stays out and goes the distance on these mediums, he could still bag a top 5 finish. It is genuinely doable, isn't it?
I mean, it depends how big the cliff is. I mean, I haven't driven the Super League lights or Super League car in real anger until the other day. And obviously that was wet, so it was hard to make a judgment. But I mean, if they think they can get 24, 25 laps out of softs, I mean, mediums should be able to last quite a while. Like I said, it's quite a soft tyre wear track, really, compared to some of the others we have on the calendar. So, I mean, potentially, I mean, he's got 21 laps left, and I really wouldn't begrudge you doing those on those laps there at the end. But we've seen how difficult it is to overtake. Who knows? Like I said, big gaps back. So where was he? Was he in what? 12? So that's 30 seconds.
He was in 12. He was in 12.
Yellow. Well, I've got yellow in sector 2 then.
So somebody tripping off and over the curbs there, or something along the lines. It was a very quick one. Pascal's out.
Fidek's got no front wing either. So
I think it'll be Pascal and Fidek that have had an incident there. That's such a shame for David Fidek. Yet again getting into an incident he had no business being in from his point of view. So we'll see if we can pick up a replay of the incident that has put out Pascal.
Big incident. Oh, goodness me. We need a replay of this. So it's coming into the second to final corner. Who is it that's going into the pits? Oh goodness me.
Well, Panzer is in pit road by the look of it.
Oh dear, right, okay, when we get a replay, here we go, so I'll be able to show you through. So a bit of a mess here from Christian Pascal. So Christian Pascal trying to go into the pits. Finder goes over the inside of him, trying to overtake him. Pascal just tries to go into the pits.
No.
Big. Who on earth is that? That car managed to get away with that with scot-free pretty much, but the RSR went round as well into quite a spin. Yeah, big. I think there might be a bit of a penalty coming Pascal's way there, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Pascal, and he's out of the race regardless, but he's still going to take a penalty for that potentially. Meanwhile, though, Yannick Bock is leading, the championship leader. He's on mediums. His last lap time was a 107.1. Now, that gives us a bit of an indication. He's got reasonable pace in these tyres. It's not going to be an easy victory for Yannick Bock if he wins it, but if he stays out on the one-stop strategy and it actually works, this is going to be the biggest steal since the Great Train Robbery.
I mean, so Yannick's just done a 6.6 on mediums. Jeff's just done a 6.0 on fresh softs, so maybe he knows something we don't, but yeah, I don't think he's going to pit at this point. I mean, what's the point? I mean, you might as well try it, didn't you?
Oh, this could be such an incredible showdown. Jonic Simičić will be so livid that the man in front of him trying to take these ties to the end is Yannick Bock. I couldn't beat you in Baku. I was so close. I am not about to lose a race that I've already got on a silver plate to you. But you're right, Yannick Bock has just got to stay out there, essentially. These tyres are not going to degrade that quickly. And we can see from his pace at the moment. Look, his last lap time was a 106.6. Compared to Simičić on fresh mediums on a 106.3. Fournier's done a 106.0, so Fournier is actually more likely to catch and pass Simičić than Bock is to lose the advantage to Simičić. So this could be a terrible, terrible oversight by the guys battling for the victory. And now we've got David Feidek in the way. So Feidek has got to get out of the way of Jeff Fournier. But I think you're right here, Tom. Bock is not losing enough time to be panicking at the moment. The gap is 4.6, 4.7. So he's only losing 0.3 of a second a lap. Now look, Simičić is going to catch him. There's no two ways about that. Simičić will catch him as Gobbi is now trying to defend from Zapala. Zapala right around the outside. Squeezes. They're going to try and keep together. Zapala keeps the car proud on the outside. Tucks back in for the inside. Surely he's going to get the inside line. Dives for the inside. Gobbi tries to keep it round the outside and Zapala gets the position. Brilliant racing.
Yep, and that's why he went onto the softs, and Gobbi did give him a carve whip into that left-hander as well, the first left-hander, so fair play from him there. So, yeah, good stuff from Zapala. That's why obviously he went onto the soft tyres.
Bock is in, Bock pits, so he can't make it go the distance, but he will go on to softs here, and he could make quite the impression.
Boo, Yannick, boo! We wanted to see you go towards the end. Yeah, he's going to go on softs. He's going to come out. Well, actually, do you know what? He might come out.
Sorry. Quintai and Ruout were just having a little bit of a boxing match through turn one. Stefan Ruout clearly wants a piece of Alessandro Quintai. He goes the long way round because that's where Quintai places him to the braking zone. Last of the late breakers. And it's Quintai who gets the place. Ruout is going to have to give best. And now Right Kilk is going for it. But Yannick Bock has done a good job by staying out because now he's on soft tyres and he's in 10th place with the freshest tyres of anybody as Quintai again defends from Ruout. Ruout now tries to get back on the switch on the inside line. You've got to leave him some room there, Alessandro. That was close.
Yeah, really hard to back out there. But then Quintai's on softs and now Kilker's on softs as well. So these medium runners have pitted maybe a lap or two too early, and it really is costing them quite a lot. Like I said, this delta's too big, and the softs are just walking up to him. Now it's going to be interesting. Now we're going to see Jeff catch up, and he's catching. I mean, look at that 5.9 now compared to Simičić's last lap time. So not quite within a second yet, but he is slowly catching monkey, like I said before.
So some fascinating situations playing out here. Yannick Bock could easily get himself into the top 6 before this race is done. You've got Ruout, Kilk and Kiersmakers in front of him on older tyres. Yannick Bock taking it to the very end of the stint and has a good chance to gain some points back here. It's not going to be quite so big a difficulty for Yannick Bock. Damage limitation from the championship leader. But Simičić is just a second ahead of Fournier, and Fournier is on softs. Simičić on mediums. Back to the battle for victory.
Yeah, Yannick's going to be hoping Jeff does him a favour and tries to overtake Joni Simičić for this win. Almost within a second now. If he can try and get a really good last couple of corners, he may be even with some DRS by the end of this lap. Look at that, David Filo trying to join in as well, obviously being a lap down, unfortunately for him. But still good to see him keeping up the pace. But yeah, Simičić now going to be feeling the pressure.
And what has happened to Leon Bock? He's just plummeted from this duel, hasn't he? 5 seconds back now. He's still got plenty of speed on Zapala and Gobbi, so he should be able to hold on to third place no trouble. But he's really struggling to stay with these two. Obviously, Fournier on the soft tyres, so it is going to be generically harder to stay with him. The fastest third sector of the whole race comes from Right Kilk, who, of course, has only recently gone onto those softs. So he's going to be pushing very hard. Yannick Bock sets his personal best second sector of the race before getting close up behind Kiersmakers. We're on board with Right Kilk on the inset, as he is there behind Stefan Ruout. So Ruout and Kilk still having that mighty battle, and still having a great run of it. Now, for the first time in this stint of the race, Fournier is now within a second of Jonic Simičić. He's in DRS range, so anything could happen from here on out. The battle continues. Simičić, Fournier, 6 tenths between them. Bock is there in third, 5 seconds. back from the race leaders. Zapala, Gobi, Kintai, Rualt and Kilk all in the mix for their battle for 4th position, and any one of them could take it. Now we've got Fournier getting very close to Simičić, and Fournier has actually got David Fidek behind him, wielding him on. He's actually giving him plenty of motivation and support. Go on, mate, you can have him, you can take him. And Simičić is really going to struggle to respond here to Fournier, who waits. He doesn't make the move into 3. He's going to try and make the move into 4. He's closer than he's ever been before. He's going to get DRS. Simičić is going to leave him as little road as humanly possible, but Fournier's already got to the inside line. This is going to be textbook. Fournier takes the lead. Boom! Excellent work. Excellent work from Jeff Fournier. He gets through on Janid Simičić, and Simičić is now going to have to try and play catch-up. I'd love to see that maneuver again, because Fournier absolutely nailed him on the way out of turn 3. That's how the overtaking move came about. So Fournier absolutely prepared and ready for anything on Simičić, was really able to make it stick, and now Fournier on the soft tyres can disappear into the distance. I wonder if we can see that move again. Let's have a look at it. So this is Fournier on Simičić. He's lined him up nicely out of 3. This is where he gets it started. So you can see the battle. Look, he's got across as early as humanly possible. Simičić can't squeeze him any further, otherwise they're going on the grass. And this is a textbook overtaking maneuver. Jeff Fournier takes the lead, and YouTube goes ballistic. Absolutely amazing work from Jeff Fournier. We appear to have lost Tom Parker for the moment. I think Discord's decided to throw a tantrum at him now. So hopefully Tom Parker will be back as soon as is humanly. So Fournier, Simičić. Bok is now 4 seconds back rather than 5 seconds. That's how much that battle cost them. They lost a second in all of that. Robin Panzar sets the fastest first sector of anybody in the race. So Robin Panzar trying to secure a few more points. He's in 13th at the moment. Now Jannik Bok is still in 10th place, but he is absolutely eating at the gap of Laurent Kiersmaker's in 9th place. So it's not going to be too long before Jannik Bok tries to make the bid for 9th position, especially on those fresher soft tyres. But the problem is that Kiersmaker's is also on soft tyres. They're just not as new as they would be for Jannik Bok, the championship leader. Now, this is fabulous from David Fidek. He is making a point here. He's proving to everybody, I could be winning this race. I could be a great factor for this race. This is how close I'm getting to Simičić. And look, I could battle for the victory here. I'm good enough. I just can't get the qualifying together. And this is what David Fidek has been intimating to me quite a lot of late. He said, I've got a car underneath me that can battle for victories. I've got a feeling that I could still be battling for the podium. I just can't get qualifying right. If I got qualifying right, I'd have a chance. And that's what essentially he's been intimating. And this is kind of him proving it. Look, I'm a lap down. What else have I got to lose? I'm in dead last, essentially. So I'm going to show you just how competitive I could have been if I was in the slipstream of Jonas Simičić. I could handle him. I could be there racing with him. So this is a gesture from David Fidek to prove, look, I'm good enough to be with these guys. I can race them. I can keep up. So this is a state of intent from David Fidek, but it's a frustrating symbol of where his race could have gone if qualifying had yet again gone better for him. But this is fascinating. We've got Fournier 7/10 clear of Simičić. He's not really able to get closer, to get further away than that, because Simičić is still in DRS range, and everything he loses out of the corners, he gains back on the straights. Fidek is running with them. These three could run all the way to the end like this. Bok is there in 3rd place, Leon Bok. Jannik Bok is now starting to have a think about Laurent Kiersmaker's, and we've got Zapala, Gobi, Kintai, Rualt and Kilk. These 5 having an absolute dogfight for 4th position.
Yeah, it looks like I'm back. I'm gutted. I missed the overtake for the lead, which is a bit upsetting. But yeah, Zapala up the inside of Gobi, and Kintai, think of another look at himself. Fair play, good on him. Oh, goodness me.
Now that was very cheeky from Gobi. That was very cheeky from Gobi. There was not a lot of room for Kintai to play with there. And I think Alessandro Kintai will be wagging his finger at Fabrizio Gobi. That was a little over the line from the Italian.
Yeah, I think there may be a bit of bad blood between the two Italian drivers. I think, if I'm right, maybe between those two. I know there's a bit of bad blood between some of them. But yeah, not the cleanest of moves there from Gobi. But yeah, Kintai essentially has every right to not be too impressed with that manoeuvre. Yeah, for people who may have missed it, what happened with the whole Fournier-Simičić thing? Because I left, Simičić was leading, and then yeah, come back, Fournier's leading.
So Fournier was able to get the run on Simoncic. Simoncic just making a slight error into turn 3, the hairpin, and Fournier was able to get good traction enough off the turn to draw alongside. Simoncic tried to squeeze Fournier to the grass to make sure there wasn't a car's width in front, but once Fournier got his wheel alongside the rear quarter, there wasn't really a lot Simoncic could do except Fournier just using DRS, maximising the straight line advantage and making... It was a tough manoeuvre. I won't deny that it wasn't easy for... I won't state that it was easy for Fournier, because it definitely wasn't. But Fournier taking a very good manoeuvre into turn 4 and making it stick. But it was very close. Very, very tight between the two of them. And now Fournier has the upper hand. When was the last time Jeff Fournier won a Super League race? I want to say it was 2019, but I could be wrong.
I believe his only race victory in Super League was the 2018 Australian Grand Prix, I believe.
2018, yes, no, it was. I do apologise. So it was even further back than that. So Jeff Fournier is looking likely to be on for his second ever Super League win.
I mean, the first one you could argue maybe a bit fortuitous. There was a lot of people with a lot of issues. I remember Alex Seabull lagged out of the race. Risto Capet had a nightmare with his race as well. I think there was the 2 ACRs at the time. A few other drivers had a lot of issues, so you could say maybe that one was a little bit fortuitous. But yeah, as right Kilk up the inside of Rual, that was a nice move. Well done there from Mr. Kilk. But yeah, Jeff's earned this one fair and square. Done the right strategy, gone onto the softs. He's got 10 laps now to try and hold it off.
And to be fair, he is a second clear of Jonat Simoncic. In fact, just a little whisker over that at times. So this is not a panic for Jeff Fournier at all. He can be very sensible about where he places the car. And he can coax this to the finish. He can have a really, really sensible and very smooth run. He doesn't have to push himself too hard here at all. He's looking very comfortable indeed as we're on lap 63 of 71. And these laps are going to disappear very quickly indeed for Jeff Fournier. 0.7 of a second though, so it's less than a second again. If Fournier's tyres are going off the cliff, Simoncic has another chance. So here's Lauren Kiersmakers and Yannick Bock. So Yannick Bock having another go at Lauren Kiersmakers. Now this is what we've been building up to for Yannick Bock, having obviously made that decision, a late decision to go onto the soft tyres. Now he is making that advantage count. Perhaps a little later than I thought he would. Just proof that the evolution is just not working in the same way. Even now that Fournier's got past Simoncic, they lost a second to Leon Bock, but they've gained it back again on pure pace. The evolution just isn't the car to have here at the Red Bull Ring.
Doesn't seem to be great leading car, does it? I mean, yeah, just I don't know. Maybe they hadn't enough time to get the setup right. Maybe they've just gone the wrong way on setup. Maybe they're just not confident. I don't know. I mean, Yannick's done a good job to get up to 10th, and Leon. I mean, he's still on for a podium, so I mean, it's not a disgusting result, is it really? I mean, it'd be a second podium in 2 races, but yeah, I think maybe he'll be thinking, especially after leading, that's the majority of that second stint, he will be thinking what could have been today.
So now we're going to see Yannick Bock make his bid on Lauren Kiersmakers. We're watching Robin Panzar try and have a go at Colin Spork, and that's ironic because One Burst Esport is closing up on the guy in front to make an overtaking bid. Simoncic has caught back up to Fournier and got within a second again. So Fournier has now got to spend the last 8 laps of this race nursing those softs. Now that he's got that little bit of an advantage, Simoncic doesn't have to nurse anything at this point. He's still got plenty of life. Big leap up the inside of Panzar and he's going to overshoot. What a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's that corner there, you do kind of have to try and overshoot. Obviously, it's not really going to work if you're on the inside. Being on the outside there actually isn't too bad. Because if you can hold it there, you get the inside for the next left-hander, and it does pay dividends, but not quite able to make it work that time for Robin Panzer.
So now the question is, does Simoncic have enough life in his tyres to go after Fournier one more time? And crucially as well, does Fournier have enough carcass in the tyres left operational that he can hold his nerve? Because this would be such a popular victory if Jeff Fournier could hold on for his second ever win. But contrast-wise, Simoncic taking the win exactly the same way, that would also be just as popular a win if Simoncic were to take the victory here.
Yeah, I mean, both drivers have driven brilliantly today. Fournier obviously making his way up from third initially. Simoncic leading most of that first stint before that little mistake. I mean, Jeff, you could argue, has made the least mistakes, so he probably does deserve it a little bit more maybe. But yeah, they've both driven really, really, really well today, and I don't think anyone could begrudge either of these two winning.
So is this going to be a Fournier victory for the second time, or is this going to be a Simoncic victory for the first time in a long time? It will be a really exciting run. 6 laps to go, and Simoncic is throwing everything he can in it. Under 0.6 of a second now on DRS. But Simoncic will probably have the better lifespan in his tyres now.
Yeah, Simoncic hasn't got any... I don't think he'll have any fear of his tyres dying at all in this race. I mean, he's... mediums. I mean, Jeff is, if anything, Simoncic is actually starting to close up a little bit more on Jeff, so he's probably going to be starting to feeling the ill effects of these tyres. Obviously, he was the first of these guys at the front to pit for softs, so he's going to be feeling the wear of those tyres pretty nastily right now. I mean, within 7 tenths, Simoncic is now going to be starting to think of, okay, last couple of laps, I'll be able to make an attack, and obviously he'll have the tyres to be able to do it, but will he be able to keep with him in the dirty air and on these tyres? It's going to be hard, but definitely can't say he won't do it, because this is Simoncic. I mean, we all know what he can do, how quick he is. So there's still 5 laps to go as they cross the line now. So still many things can happen in this sport, and as Murray Walker would say, it usually does.
The late great hero that we all love and cherish. Here's Janet Simoncic under half a second now behind Jeff Fournier. He's got DRS down this point to turn 3. This is where things can get pretty spicy again, and it's all going to be about how they respond into the hairpin. Fournier holding his line. He's not going to concede to Simoncic by a cheap little manoeuvre for Simoncic to distract Fournier. Fournier's going to hold on to this lead for at least one more part of the lap. But Simoncic is trying every trick in the book. He really is hoping to get into Fournier's blind spot. And like an angry wasp at a picnic, he really wants to throw him off kilter.
Yeah, you can see now Fournier starting to get a little bit leery in the traction zones. His rear tyres starting to give up ever so slightly, especially in the turn you saw coming out of 1 and 3 there. Simoncic made a lot of gains on him in there. He's obviously going to be understeering a little bit more as well as the front tyres start to wear. Simoncic's car looks a little bit more on rails, doesn't it? Look there again, he's just getting the car turning a lot better, considering he's in dirty air on a compound worse tyres, as it were. But yeah, Jeff's having to really nurse these tyres now as he goes towards the end of this race.
Just what we wanted, a showdown, and Fournier is not going to get much off Simoncic this time. Simoncic is absolutely flying up towards turn 3. Is this going to be the move? Simoncic goes wide. Around the outside, Fournier cuts back across, but surely Simoncic is going to get DRS again. He does. He's going to be a sitting target. What can Fournier do to hold him at bay? There's nothing in it. Simoncic round the outside. Fournier breaks late. Simoncic tucks back in for the undercut, and surely he's going to get there. No, he doesn't. Fournier shuts the door.
Do you know what? I did not think Jeff had a hope in hell of keeping that place. But I don't know. I don't know how Jeff managed to break that late offline and get it stopped and turned in. Like, that was a really good defensive move there from Jeff. And the best part was, completely clean when he cut across into that little kink on the right before the left-hander. He was clear. He was absolutely clear of he only didn't have to get out of the throttle. So Jeff, really, really good driving there from Mr. Fournier. He's got 4 laps, made that 3 laps to go. And it is close. Really is struggling out of these traction zones now, though.
We have had 5 brilliant races, but this is the showdown we've been waiting for in the 2021 season. Simoncic tries again. Here we go. Surely the same move will happen. Fournier moving to cover. No, he doesn't even have to move to cover. No. Simoncic makes the mistake. Simoncic overshoots.
Yeah, so Jeff got a little bit squiggly under the brakes, actually. You saw the rear end come out ever so slightly, and he had to do a tiny correction. And I wonder if that's what put Simoncic off. We probably thought, oh, he's coming back across, so Simoncic decided to take a wide line. Maybe he did it on purpose, but I mean, the way the car looked, it looked a little bit off balance as he was going towards the apex. He's turned in, as we've got Yannick Bock trying to look up the inside of Lauren Kiesmakers. Can't quite make it work this time, or can he? He's going to have...
I think he's going to get a late run on him. This is going to be interesting.
Out on the outside, Kennedy around the outside. We've seen cars do it already this race. He is on the better tyres. And yeah, lovely stuff there from our championship leader.
Kiesmakers tries to retaliate one final time, and Bock actually runs over the rumble strip in order to finish off the move on 2 occasions. Kiesmakers going straight back at Yannick Bock. Oh!
Go for the lead.
And there's still wheel banging as Kiesmakers tries to get back on terms with Yannick Bock, and they are side down the main straight. They bang wheels again.
Simoncic round the outside.
Oh, they both got in. They both got off.
Oh dear, goodness me.
Hits the wall. Kiersmakers hits the wall, he's out of it, and Yannick Bock and Kiersmakers come together. We're going to need to hang on to that one for a replay because these two are side by side again. Simičić going the long way round the outside of Fournier. He keeps his foot tucked in. Surely this time they back wheels again. Twice on the inside. Simičić tries again. Fournier tries to keep the car right round the outside. And Simičić takes back the lead.
Yeah, a bit of wheel banging now. I don't think Jeff's going to be too happy with that. It was a bit of wheel banging, obviously going down to the straight. I think both of these boys could have avoided that. And yeah, Simičić, I want to say Simičić, he kind of understeered into him. I don't think there was any malice in what happened in mid-corner. He sort of like understeered into his side pod, and obviously that pushed Jeff a little bit wide. Obviously Jeff on the worst side as well, can't retaliate as we go on to the last lap of this race. So obviously let's get a replay of the, replay, here we go. So we've got a replay of what I believe is going to be the incident between Bock and Kiersmakers. So yeah, look at that, Bock wide. In the final two corners, Kiersmakers goes up the inside. And what happens here, I was busy watching the fight for the lead, and yeah, it looks like they may have just R-factored each other. See, yeah, Kiersmakers has moved across a little bit, and yeah, that's... I mean, I'll have to have a look at Yannick's inputs there as well, but it looks like there was a bit of a... Yeah, it looks maybe one was moving to the other side the way the car was just coming all across, and yeah. Yeah, it's just looks like Kiersmakers moved over. Unfortunately, a shame, a big shame.
Big mistake from Kiersmakers. He just misjudged having made the move. But here comes Janic Simičić after a fantastic final showdown. That is what we wanted to see in GPVWC 2021 Super League. And here we are seeing it as Right Kilk has got past Kintai. Kintai's had a moment on the final lap. We're going to have to look at that one back again. But Janic Simičić comes out of the final turn and wins at the Red Bull Ring in front of Jeff Fournier and Leon Bock. What a race. Absolutely magic.
Yeah, I mean, he did put a foot wrong in that defence today. He, in that attack towards the end, he knew he's biding his time. And he managed to get it done in the end, obviously under a little bit of controversial circumstances with the wheel banging. But obviously, if they're DC feel they need to look at that, obviously Jeff can put a protest in, and obviously we'll have to see if that comes out of anything. But on the road, Simičić, yeah, he did it. Made a couple of mistakes, so it was vulnerable, but he got it done as Leon Bock crosses the line to get a second podium in 2 races.
Now, I think we've got a replay of what happened to Alessandro Quintai on the final lap, because he was in P5, I think, at one stage. Certainly he was in P6. He's battling away there. I think he just got nabbed. Oh, yes, look, he spun it. He's trying to get around the outside of... Is that Gobby? Yes, he was trying to battle with Gobby. And you can see here, look, he's gone right, and he's just steered too fast, too quickly, and the car just snaps away from him.
Yeah, see, his car would have been off balance a little bit, yeah, and obviously maybe the nudge wouldn't have helped either. Maybe affected downforce, I don't know, but yeah, it's not a nice nudge, and yeah, he's, like you said, he's put the power down, turned a bit too hard, and unfortunately lost 5th place as a result of it. Obviously these two, 6th place, sorry, as a result of it, they were battling pretty hard, weren't they, earlier on, and there's still a bit of bad blood between those two, and I think it may have just boiled over there, unfortunately.
So Janic Simičić takes the victory in front of Jeff Fournier, who will have to wait even longer for his 2nd Super League win. Leon Bock in 3rd from Germano Zappala and Fabrizio Gobbi. Right Kilk in 6th in front of Stefan Rualt and Alessandro Quintai. From Yannick Bock in 9th and Giuseppe Ragusa in 10th position. How Yannick Bock got to 9th after that incident with Kiersmakers, I will never know. 11th for Robin Panza in front of Maciej Mlinek, Colin Spork, Matthias Mus, and the final point goes the way of Giuseppe Lino. Dan Stepkowski in 16th ahead of Eros Mashudi and Thomas Vack, who struggled in the end and had to come home in 18th ahead of Florian Gaia. Tobias Olsen in 20th position. 21st for Federico Russo in front of Adriano Opacini, and then Pascal Schmidt in front of Michael Francesconi. The retirement for Laurent Kiersmakers on the final tour. David Feidek did technically cross the line, and then of course we lost Christian Pascal and Mirko Lucchini from the earlier stage of the race. But Janic Simičić versus Jeff Fournier, that was a fight for the ages. That was an absolutely stellar victory. So we're obviously going to have a word with some of our race drivers after a thrilling race. So we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll hear from the men that made that race so special.
Goodness me.
Well, that was absolutely astonishing. That is what GPVWC is all about. That's what we signed up for. And that was magnificent, majestic squabbling from the front to the back between 28 of the best sim racers in the world. Absolutely magic, Tom. And that is what we've been hoping to see all season long.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a good race for the victory. Obviously, we thought it was going to be a three-way fight all the way to the end. Obviously, Leon Bock really did fade off quite badly, didn't he? Towards the end of that second stint and in the third, just didn't seem to get on with those medium tyres very well, did they? The Evolutions today, but yeah. I mean, three-way fight for battle. What more could you want? It's a good victory for Yerne. He starts his title fight very nicely. He's going to gain a lot of points on Yannick, and yeah, we can bring him in now by the looks of it.
We can indeed. What an amazing race that was, and what a fantastic winner. Jurnic Simoncic, finally. That is redemption for Baku, and in the best possible way. What a way to fight back. You must be absolutely ecstatic.
Yeah, I'm really happy about how the race went, with, of course, always limited preparations that sadly I have. So yeah, the car felt really good. My only worry was that three-stop strategy would somehow overcome two stops. So I did my lovely strategy of, well, saving the tires in the first stint, because it's impossible to overtake without mistakes. So I could do that, and from then onwards, it was a bit easier. But still, yeah, great battles with Leon and with Jeffrey in the end.
So when he initially made the move for you, when Jeff Fournier got through into the lead of the race, did you feel that there was still going to be plenty enough life in the tyres so you didn't have to panic, or was that a real nervous point in the race for you?
I was not too nervous, especially when, for myself, going for 24 laps or 23, or I don't know how much it was, on the softest tires was just impossible, if not in the first stint. In first stint it's different because it's a train, and it's not beneficial to push. But when it's 1 versus 1 on track, soft versus mediums for 23 laps, I cannot see how I could make myself making softs last that long. So I was not too worried. But of course, because I had not done enough practice, it's always at the back of the mind, oh, what if he has something special in the setup, and what if he actually manages to pull off the whole stint on the same pace. But in the end, I was correct. 3 laps to go, and his tires were gone, and it was not hard job to overtake.
Fantastic. Tom, any questions from you before we move on?
Just one. So obviously, Leon and you had a great battle early on. Obviously, you made that slight error going into turn 3 that allowed Leon back past at first. Were you worried that Leon was going to beat you, or did you think, now I can still get still get the better of this upstart?
It was the strategy move to put myself into DRS. No,
we don't believe that, Jurnic. I'm sorry, we don't believe that.
Well, in the end, I won, so it must have been a good move, right? But I saw Leon in the first stint not really having that much of an edge. I thought he would have slightly more tire life remaining, but he didn't have. So I knew that I could still catch him, even without DRS and with 2 seconds gap. So I was not too worried. I was more worried about Jeffrey in the rear view mirror as he was getting closer and closer.
Absolutely fabulous stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Terrific. Let's bring in Cameron Roger on this auspicious occasion. Cameron, a fabulous race from your perspective as well. That must have been nail-biting to watch from the sidelines throughout.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. The race in general was, because especially in the first stint, it just stayed so close together. Then in the second stint, thought we did a good strategy, but then Yerne made that bit of a mistake into the hairpin, which then brought Jeff back into it, and then we had to chase down Leon. So there wasn't much I could do in that second stint. I was just watching Yerne just push to get in the thing. But then when he got Leon, I basically just said, to push. And then I was like, how many laps could you do? He said I could do 2. So I was like, just push, do 2. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier when you can just kind of tell Yerne to do something and he can do it, which helps a lot. But yeah, Jeff was unbelievably quick. And so was Leon. So it was a bit difficult. But yeah, glad in the end that he could get that, because it's not always nice having to pass in the last couple of laps, because the pressure just gets, double or triple the amount. So yeah, it was a good overtake in the end. But either way, it was a good job from Fournier and Bock. They did a good race.
Certainly was. Final words from you, Tom, with Cameron?
You pretty much answered the questions. Obviously, Yerny's done what I was going to say as well. So, obviously, yeah, good stuff. Well done. Obviously, Yerny's first win of the season as well. Obviously, you're going to be aiming for more. Obviously, with the great team and driver that you have. So, yeah, it's well done today. And fingers crossed, we're going to see you on the top step a bit more this season.
Yeah, that's the plan. Obviously, it's quite difficult with how close qualifying is. But as long as Yerny keeps on getting pole by 1/10, then that will make things a lot easier.
Sensational stuff. Well done to Cameron, Roger, and of course to Jody Simicic. Victory at the Red Bull Ring. Let's bring in our second place man, Jeff Fournier, after a sensational fight. So many people cheering the two of you on. It was an excellent run. Is that, I know you won in Australia in 2018, but is that the best race you've ever had in GPVWC, Jeff?
Well, it was good. It was an interesting one. Certainly not the best, but surely I enjoyed it. Especially after the last two, well, after my first two race this season, which was not the, which not deliver the result I wanted. But yeah, good to be at the front and to fight them. And yeah, as soon as I did a good quali, I knew on race pace it would be fucking close here. So yeah, it was the DRS train. I managed to stay with them. That was fun. Yeah, well done to Jarnesh.
Thanks, Jeff. Apologies for those watching with the language concern. I suppose the quick question I was going to ask Jeff is, if you had won that race, surely that would have been the best win you'd ever had, because there was just so much going on at that point in third position when you were just following in behind both Jernich and Leon. It looked as if it was basically just going to be a waiting game, but you rolled the sleeves up and went for it.
I was actually surprised that Leon and Jernich were on medium and me on soft, because I'm not the best on tires, and yeah, I was expecting Jarnesh to at least be on soft for the last stint, because I reached the cliff very late in the race, but yeah, well, Jarnesh was the best at the end, so I will take that P2 for sure.
Fair enough, and a great run for the team as well. Tom, any thoughts with Jeff?
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, I didn't have the best start to the season, for your season, obviously, with those two races. But obviously, like I said, you got the quali sorted. So, yeah, fingers crossed we'll be seeing you further up the grid very more often. So, yeah, Jake asked all the questions I was going to say. So, yeah, well done to you. And fingers crossed we'll see you back on the top step, or at least a step over the podium again in the next couple of races. Well done, mate.
Well, I hope so. Germano got the pace also. So, yeah, well, hopefully we can see Basiley back at the front for couple of races.
I think we'd all like to see that, Jeff. Congratulations on your second place run. Very good job. Well done. Let's grab a final word with Leon Bock, third position. Leon, such a difficult race today. So tough right from the start. You were in the hunt for the victory. That first stint of the race, so much to and fro in between the top three of you up at the front. Managing to get the switch and get the lead of the race, just how close do you feel you came to the victory in that one? Was it a certain thing at one point?
Oh, well, I tried to undercut Yanni. Didn't quite get him, but he made a mistake into turn 2 or turn 3. So I got the lead. Was trying to keep the pace, but Yanni and Fournier came closer in that second stint, and I made some mistakes into turn 2, especially locking the tires sometimes, and that cost me a bit of tires. And then in the end, I made a mistake again in turn 2 and lost the position to Joff as well, and yeah, was a bit behind on pace then. Tried to gain some time back in the third stint, but yeah, they were too quick today, I think, especially in the third stint with the soft tires from Fournier, and yeah.
Well, with you gaining a podium finish and with Yannick coming home in 9th position, was that a race of damage limitation for you guys, or is that going to be seen by the team as the race win that got away from you?
We had some difficult races this season so far with sometimes Yannick in front and me at the back, or now this race I'm at the front and Yannick at the back. Quali's been a bit inconsistent, so that's a bit hurting us, but obviously still a second place, a ninth, and Yannick in the championship lead. At least before the race, I don't know, but I think he's still in the lead. So yeah, we try to maximize our points, try to get the consistency in qualifying and also the race. Yeah.
Interesting. Always interesting to hear the thoughts of a race when it's so closely fought. Tom, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to ask about, obviously, like I said, the pace sort of fell away from you towards the end of the race. Was that you just not, did you think at that point, I'm not going to try and push too hard to try and catch them, or was it just you simply not having the pace to catch them at that point of the race?
I try to stay close to them in case if they like fight and crash, that I'm still near them and can maybe overtake them. But I think I couldn't quite match the pace from them in the end. They would, even when they were fighting, I think they still were quicker than me. So, but yeah, in the end I was kind of in like 5 seconds ahead of P4 and they were fighting, and 5 seconds behind P2, and yeah, also they were fighting, so bit of a
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Well, thanks for catching up with us, Leon. Third position is still some brilliant points in the bag for the team, and no doubt we'll see you again next time when we go to Canada. Good luck.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, I've generally just about got my breath back, Tom. I mean, that was an absolute barnstormer of a race. That's the kind of action that we love to get up for GPVWC Day. What can we expect to see from Canada? Is there just going to be more and more of these drivers coming up to the fray? Well, we know now that Evolution is beatable. Are they going to be beatable consistently, do we think?
Well, they've not won every race this season, have they? So, we know they are. I think Yerne, Jeff, both proved today that they can beat them. Obviously, Yannick did have a bit of an off day qualifying. But then you've got Ruel on his day. I mean, how quick can he be on his day? Look at him. Gobby as well. He had a bit of a poor race towards the end. I mean, honestly, now that Adonis have changed their personnel, I do think probably Evolution might pull clear in the teams. But yeah, the driver's side, Yannick's got a good buffer for now. But yeah, I can see Yerne, Jeff, etc. starting to really make some gains.
Well, 2 weeks from now, on the 3rd of June, we will be back in action for the Super League. It's going to be very exciting stuff. Tom, thanks again for joining me in the commentary box. I'm really looking forward to the next one. Thank you for joining me for Red Bull Ring. It's been awesome.
Yeah, loved it. Good race, fun race, slow burner, bit boring at times, but yeah, cracking ending. Like, what can I say? Roll on Canada.
Roll on Canada indeed. 4 different winning teams over the course of the first 6 races, with at least a 5th or a 6th in the offing. Yannick Bock may have the lead of the championship, but if today has proved anything, he can be beaten. How many times is up to he and Evolution to decide. On behalf of myself, Jake Sanson, Tom Parker and Argo Teder on the broadcast suite, thank you very much indeed for watching GPVWC Super League. We'll be back in action next week as the field heads to Montreal. I'm Jake Sanson. See you next time.